Hello, everyone, and welcome to Texas Card House Dallas. For this, the final table of the even bigger one, our monthly tournament here at the Texas Card House Dallas location. Here's what we're playing for today, the bigger tournament, $250,000 guarantee. We crushed that, as we usually do. We had $333,000 in the prize pool. Just a $300 buy-in. We had over 1,400 entries. Today, the final 9 will be playing for this. They're guaranteed, locked up, 5,600, 56,000 at the top. Here's a quick list of our players today. Making it to the final 9 today, in order by their chip count, we have Reza. He'll be in the 9 seat. He is coming in with the chip lead at $7,700,000. Mark, the professor, will be in the 2 seat. David Ta in the 3 seat. Joe Foran in the 8 seat. Karen Robinson, she'll be in the 1 seat. Cody Tooker in the 4 seat. Trung Pham, Hugh Mock Lee, and Evan Burns, our shorties today. They'll be in the 6, 5, and 7, so that'll be interesting to keep an eye on, as our shorties will be sitting next to one another in the 5, 6, 7. I am RJ Dupree, and this is TCH Live. We will have a special guest commentator joining us soon, but for now it's just me, and we are underway. Hand number 1 of the final table here, the bigger one, Texas Card House Dallas. And we're getting some action already, as Cody has an ace-queen suited in the low jack. Joe in the 8 seat, he will see a flop with pocket 8s. 5, 6, 7, all spades. So Cody has flopped a big flush here. And a 4 of clubs on the turn. That'll give Joe Foe a straight with his pocket 8s, but the spades will be a little frightening here. So the flop goes check, check. Now Joe will lead out here on the turn with his straight. Cody just calls. Deuce of spades, so this will hurt. This will hurt for Cody's action here, as Joe does not have a spade. So we'll see the sizing here. Cody elects to go with 1.3 in the pot. Those green chips right there, beautiful new chip here for Texas Card House. That is $500,000. So he has bet, looks like 1,100,000 was that bet there. So there we go. We're underway. Cody flops a flush the first hand, and away we go.
Yeah. I think Johnny needs to shuffle a little better.
Shuffle like 12 times.
4, 5, 6 come out.
That'll move Cody up to just over $5 million. The short stacks right there behind him. You can see the 5. And then the shorties are in the 6 and the 7. So keep an eye on those seats. They'll be trying to ladder up here.
Raise 250.
Mr. Ta going by Vitae today, I believe. He finds himself with ace-queen offsuit. Raises it up to $250,000. Reza makes the call from the small blind with a 6-7. Karen will defend here from the big blind.
Check.
King, deuce 3, 2 hearts. Karen going to land the best of it here with her king 9 offsuit, defended from the big blind. Small continuation bet here for Dave. Called by both players. Queen on the turn. Karen's equity now all the way up to 88%. So a hefty bet here from Vaitai. What do you think? Am I saying that right?
VD.
Vidi. All right, let's go by Vidi. That voice you hear, folks. The wonderful voice of the legend, the banner himself, Mr. Danny Marks, joining me in the commentating booth now.
Great to be here, everybody. Sorry I'm a few minutes late.
What's up, partner? No problem.
Any crazy action that I've missed so far?
So this is the second hand.
Oh, perfect.
We had a little defense there from the big blind, take down the second hand. The first hand, Cody in the 4 seat, raised with ace-queen suited, flopped the nut flush. Got a little bit of money out of somebody that turned a 4-card straight. But then a 4 spade hit the river, and that was the end of that. So that's all you missed.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited here. Huge prize pool this month. I see that we have over 56,000 up top. Couple players here I recognize. VD is actually David, who, I hate to be fair weather in the commentary booth, but I'm a huge fan of David. Been playing with him for a long time. He's actually won this very tournament before, so he knows how to accumulate trips. Without seeing anybody else, he's definitely going to be one of the strong favorites here at the final table.
Yeah, I would say he and the professor here in the 2 seat, very familiar with final tabling this event. Definitely seen Cody around. So we've got some strong local players here making the final table, putting on a show for us here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. The 2 seat also, is he going by Professor?
Let's see. He's going by Vandy. That's his usual screen name.
So yeah, that's Mark, another player I have played with quite a bit here, both at TCH and at the local tournaments over at Choctaw, even in Vegas. So he's been playing quite a few tournaments lately, has a lot of really good results, definitely knows what he's doing. It's another player who I wouldn't be surprised if he could take down this tournament. So a lot of repeat final tablists here. Excited to see what they bring to the table.
Yeah, we'll complete this hand and get another look at those payouts in case you missed them when we first got started.
500 is that.
So here, Reza finds a spot to bet here on the turn with his 7-8, lands a 7 on the turn.
How's everybody doing today in the chat? Where are y'all watching us from? Here in Dallas, or are you spread out across the country and world? We appreciate you joining us for the big one for one, or not for one drop, for just the bigger one.
The bigger one, yes.
Yes, 250K guaranteed, which we usually beat, and it looks like we crushed it this month with over 300,000. So 500 up top.
Cody misses his double gutter here, so Reza will hold the best of it. He bets on the river and takes it down here. Just getting to pull up this chat here. I see a couple people mentioning that they have no sound. Hopefully we have that fixed by now. I would like to know if you can hear us.
Yeah, Mighty Hammer, VD, or David's always gone by VD on the streams, even when he plays he used to play a lot of the cash game streams as well on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Always went by VD. Not sure the story behind that. But
yeah, and I have to apologize to VD. I think I messed that up both times I've had him.
I might be wrong too, for all we know.
We're rolling with it. I love it.
Yeah. Mitchell, thank you so much. It was a ton of fun out there. A really special experience. Little disappointing. I didn't really pick up any hands and had to kind of fold and blind my way out. But I'm definitely looking forward to trying to get a repeat performance there.
Yeah, and of course, Danny is mentioning this is the Danny Marks that just returned from Vegas, where he finished in a 5th place finish last week. The WPT final, the main event from Choctaw. It just concluded last week in Vegas, and he came back fresh off an airplane to join us here tonight and visit with you guys.
Absolutely. I can't get enough poker. Fresh off the final table studying. I put in a lot of work for it, so feeling sharp with my tournament game right now. Looking forward to go back for the WSOP main event.
There we go. Yeah, people were surprised that you came back just for us, and I was like, it's Danny. He'll go back. We got this.
No, yeah, I'm not going to play too many World Series events this summer, so I've got some work to do at home. And looking forward to playing with the locals here in Dallas.
Yeah, looking forward to get a
Best
little bit
card room in the country.
a little bit of both.
How about you all in the chat? Anybody going out for the World Series this year? What is your event that you look forward to each year? Personally, my favorite events, my main events back in the day were when I just played Cash, were the Millionaire Maker and the Monster Stack. Both of those are 1500s with a lot of play, hour-long levels from the start. Now that I play the real main event, that's like my favorite event every year. But those are like the 3 tournaments that I want to try to play.
When I look at the schedule, the Monster Stack always stands out to me
Yep.
as something I would like to go make a run at, besides the main, of course.
Hey, that's a great bankroll builder. You can change your life with that.
So we got some action here, trying to get multi-way here.
Yeah, a couple big hands here. It looks like the table is reasonably deep. I haven't gotten a good peek, but about 30 big blind average. So quite a bit of play here, and 4 playable hands are seeing a flop.
350 to bet.
Big flop here for Reza. Saw a flop with King Deuce of clubs, lands Deuce Deuce 4.
Yeah, it looks like Jofo is going to continuation bet. You always have to be very careful whenever you go multi-way to a flop with your C-bets out of position, because you're going to have a lot of difficulty on later streets. That being said, this specific combo of Ace of Spades 10 is not a bad choice because you've got a lot of favorable runouts and you can put a lot of pressure on future streets. But you just want to make sure that you are starting off very small and keeping your opponent's ranges wide, because they're a lot more likely to hit this flop. Although on the Deuce Deuce 4, it is pretty hard to hit. Of course, Reza did hit, so we're in trouble here.
Yeah, I was going to say Deuce Deuce 4 generally a nice little spot to maybe throw a little continuation bet
That's
out.
the worst possible river card for Jofo. Probably going to call another bet here.
He felt like something was up on the turn.
Yeah. Unfortunately, so yeah, Reza is going to actually run into quite a few flushes here, considering he bet 4-way on the flop, and that's the most common draw that would be calling him down. That being said, I think it's a very close C-bet, or I'm sorry, value bet there on the river in position. I wouldn't expect to get check raised too often, and I think we can get a little bit of value. But another good tip to keep in mind is when ICM gets bigger, like at the final table here, you do actually need more equity than you would normally to put in a value bet last to act on the river, because chips lost are more valuable than chips gained. So I don't actually mind a check back there on that scary run out. I think earlier in the tournament or in a cash game, that's a must bet though. Thank you so much, Jim. It was a ton of fun and an amazing experience. It's going to be out on TV in 9 to 12 months, so I'm looking forward to watching it.
Yeah, we got to wait 9 months.
Yeah.
How rude.
I guess they have to do all the deals with the networks or something like that. I think it's going to be on Bally Sports.
So Reza coming out with a little bit of a heater this first lap of the button. He finds Ace King suited, takes down the blinds and Annie's. And let's see here. See if we can put up the...
Got a couple people in chat saying they want to play the mini main. I've heard that's a good one too. It's like the main event, but it's a turbo version of it.
Here we are with the chip counts and the seats for Danny as he's just joining us. You can see here that the short stacks are, interestingly enough, in the 5, 6, and 7. So you'll see them battle it out a little bit, and then we've got big stacks here in the 9 and the 2 for Reza and Mark.
Yeah, so Evan is the only one really in the danger zone, but even Evan has about 12 big blinds. And just a refresher for everybody in case you're new to tournaments, the real pay jumps here at the final table are quite heavy. So it pays to play very tight and to try to ladder up. You make real money by folding. So you always need, there's a multiplier effect on every street where you need more equity than you would normally. So I'm curious to see how these players choose to navigate and if anyone tries to kind of break the equilibrium by getting a little out of line to try to accumulate chips. So that's always, it's always fun seeing how people approach these final tables.
Yeah, that's the fun part about this particular final table is the difference They're locked up $5,600 and $56,000 up top. So there's
Yeah.
a $50,000 difference amongst our places
Absolutely
here today.
huge. Yeah. So especially the middling stacks, you want to be very careful putting money in the pot when you're at risk. When there's a small stack, like a 12 big blind stack, waiting to bust because you get the pay jump there.
Holy cow.
So this is a nasty run out, by the way. 6 of clubs here.
That's the VD I know.
There we go. 6 of clubs on the river for VD gives him the full house over the 2 pair.
VD is one of the nicest guys ever. You know, no matter how bad he's running, he never complains, always smiling. Really a pleasure to play with. Definitely easy to root for. So,
yeah, I've got to deal a lot of hands to VD, and definitely, I would agree with you, an absolute pleasure at the table. And I noticed in our chat earlier, a few people were giving out shout-outs to Mr. Mitch, the commentator for TCH Live, one of our partners. He finished 31st in this event. Eric Van Loozen, I will be working with him tomorrow night, also a commentating partner. He finished 18th, I believe.
That would have been so fun if either one or both could have made the final table. But great job, guys. Keep playing. You'll make it eventually.
So there we go. Vandy finding kings. He's able to take this one down, and you may have noticed there an ace-jack went into the muck. So one of those short stacks, those middling stacks that you were talking about, didn't want to mess with the ace-jack facing that big raise there from Mr. Mark Vandy. Yes, Vandy. Yeah,
Vandy is another player, like Codys says, a lot of final tables here at TCH. Definitely has quite a bit of experience.
Yeah, if you were to rank the final tables here at TCH right there, Vandy and
VD.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Vandy and VD might be amongst the top. They are.
Yeah, there's a couple other players I recognize.
And Mr. Joe, he's no stranger to final tables there in the 8th seat.
Yeah, there's definitely a few other players I recognize here. I haven't been able to put in quite as much volume lately, so there's a lot of great new players in town. So just because I haven't played with you, I'm sure a lot of these guys are very strong players in their own right. So I bet we're going to see some tough play here. These players got through, what, 1,400 people?
Yeah, 1,400 entries.
Yeah.
So here's another look at the exact payouts. We showed those a little bit earlier. Locked up 5630, 56,100 up top, 1,418 entries.
Wow. Yeah, that's quite the little spin up from 300. And yeah, based on how steep the pay jumps are is kind of going to dominate your strategy on how tight you need to play and how valuable it is to move up in the chip ranks. So the next 2 jumps aren't quite as big, but there is still quite a bit of value by staying around.
There we go. Trunks picks up a premium of ace-jack suited.
Yeah, this is the perfect spot here for the short stack. Jamming just over 12 bigs. Very close spot here for Trunks with the suited variety. I think offsuit is fold, ace-queen is a call.
Good run.
And so
he's going to get it in here.
Yeah, I think in the cutoff against the button, you probably just need to go with it. Runs into the top of range, but he's going to have a lot of under pairs. He might even do that with like an ace-10 or a king-queen type hand. So very, very close, definitely on the border.
Yeah, tough spot here for Trunks, and this is going to leave him with just a smidgen behind. He's going to be.
He's got a flush draw. It's never over. Or jack. Oh.
7 of diamonds on the river, and Cinema will double up here, and that cripples Trunks down to 860,000.
Yeah, so that's going to be tough here. He's going to have like 5.5, 6 bigs.
And yeah, I mentioned earlier when we showed the draw, the table lineup, I found it interesting that those short stacks were stuck next to each other, and we could see some interesting fireworks there. See those guys trying to battle and move up. I know Q and Trunks, I'm familiar with them a little bit. They know their way around some tournaments.
Yeah, I've seen Trunks as well. I've seen the 5 seed around, but I don't know if I've played with them. Richard Greenberg, thank you so much. Anything you guys want me to talk more of, less of, let me know. You know, for me, this is a fun experience. It'll help me solidify my poker knowledge as well. So I love talking poker. You know, it's very difficult to do it for 4 hours, but I'm having a lot of fun trying to get better. So let me know anything else you guys want to hear.
All right, kings for Cody here. He'll raise it up and he gets a caller. Ace in the window. Ace, ace 3 on the flop.
Yeah, interesting defend here from the small blind. Are we sure he's not the
175 is
The
He
big
is the
blind?
small blind, yep, because the cinema doubled up from the button. So, Joe, our button's a little wild as we look at it, but it is in the 8 seat.
Okay, so Reza's got some dirty thoughts here.
Reza will defend.
Yeah, a little dangerous to float this out of position here with no real backdoors. So he just wants the pure bluff, but this is not going to work with multiple aces out there.
Yeah, 300 went 1/3 pot there, so kings are definitely going to call. Cody will take it down. So a nice little build up for him and this lap of the button.
And Jim just gave a shout out here to Dusty, who is another local favorite. She's also been on WPT final tables. She made the final table the Win Ladies event, which was also televised.
Yes.
Another crusher. And she actually made a deep run here in the mystery bounty at the WSOP. They got almost 20,000 runners, and she finished.
People love the mystery bounties.
Oh yeah, there
people
was
love
multiple $1 million pulls. She got a 25K pull, and I think she finished 100 and something. So
I got a message.
Nice deep run.
Yeah, I got to message her today. Congratulations, pulling that $25,000 mystery bounty. That's awesome, and not to mention having a nice deep run in the tournament.
Yep.
Trunk finds a spot here to ship it. A7.
Yeah, this is a great spot here. You're just praying to get a big card when you get this short. So any like decent king or ace is going to be a shove here. And Reza's got a lot of chips to play around with here, but this is a little dangerous when there's multiple players behind you. I think if you're in the big blind here, this would be a good call.
From the button, a little more dangerous. Reza goes with it. King 9 suited.
And it is going to work out just okay.
Got some rags behind him, so that was nice.
Yeah, let's see. We got a standard coin flip here.
I like it. I don't know. Yeah, look good.
So here we go. Trunks going to be at risk, all in with ace7.
Yeah, the good thing about Reza making this call is, you know, if he does lose, he's still in a dominant position and can still put on a lot of pressure.
King on the turn.
Oof. Good game, Trung. Just kind of ran into it there at the end.
Yeah, good game, Trung. A great run. He'll finish 9th today. Yeah, that ace-jack running into the ace-king was a little disappointing for him, but he will have a nice prize, finishing 9th for a $5,630 prize today. So that puts us down to 8. The players are locked up, 75-50 now.
Good game, Trung.
Since you called him, I'm not going to call him.
Yeah, I like that hand.
And Richard asks, does your range change when making a final table? It's a really great question, and the answer is yes. So one of the beautiful things about tournaments compared to cash is every situation becomes unique just for the fact that blinds are ever changing and the payouts are ever changing as well. So as your risk premium goes up, which is into the money bubble and the final table bubble, you need to have higher equity in every situation compared to when you're normally just playing cash games. A good way to think about that is in a cash game, all I need is 50.1% equity to make the correct call. But in a tournament, generally that's going to be a losing scenario depending on how valuable staying alive and your chips are worth at that moment. And so at the final table, there's so much money up top that you need to be very, very careful and tighten up. But it also depends on how many big blinds you have. And the more big blinds, the more you can splash around and push around the table and put that pressure on them because they're the ones trying to ladder up. And if you're short, you definitely have to be a lot more careful.
Yeah, I think sometimes we get used to racing our chips off in cash games or racing it off early in a tournament. And it just takes one bad race here at the final table to cost you a lot of money.
Absolutely. One of the best examples where your range is going to change at a final table is if you're a short or a medium stack and you're defending the big blind. You're getting a great price because you already have money in there. But because of the multiplier effect and the fact that you're out of position against a bigger stack, they can put a lot of pressure on you, and it's harder to realize your equity because of that at a final table. So you actually want to be defending your big blind a lot tighter. So that's like a good simple adjustment you can make when you make a final table.
Yeah, I think it's always fun to see what kind of line you're in here. Cody in the 4 seat, he's been a little active. He saw some flops and hands. But I look for Cody and VD both here to be a little more active with the short stacks behind them.
Yep. And VD's got a little bit more chips, so he can definitely open it up a little bit. Also, he's a player who's not going to be afraid of the stakes. He's very used to playing high-stakes cash games and tournaments for big prizes as well. So,
right, and being comfortable in a scenario like this, obviously incredible value.
Underrated skill to have. Great example is this WPT final table. Just that 3 or 4 week wait plus the pressure of the situation, it adds a lot of anxiety and pressure to the moment. And so being able to, focus on making the good play instead of worrying about, what the people watching are going to say or, stuff like that is a huge edge. And so just play your game, have fun. We're all stupid. We all make mistakes, and just don't worry about it.
So as we color up here, we can hit you up with a couple of questions from the WPT. Just how cool was it to be in that environment? I got to see a few pictures from you guys, from inside the e-gaming center or whatever that was. How cool was that?
It was kind of indescribable experience, honestly. Like I won the circuit over at Choctaw for more money, but the difference in the prestige of a WPT versus the circuit, it's not even comparable. They know how to treat their players. They pick you up in a limo, set you up. They gave us gift baskets, team hats, all that stuff, and just really makes you feel special. I've never, I'm 39 years old. I've never had makeup put on me until now, and they do the whole interviews, and it's just really fun. And WPT really knows how to treat their players right. So
well, and I could second that just from winning one of those nightly events at a WPT event, right? The small peon tournament that they put on. I thought it was
no such thing.
I thought it was crazy that they put us on the final table, and they gave me a trophy and made a big presentation out of it. But yeah, that's just kind of what the WPT does. They want you to feel good and come back next time and have an enjoyable run when you do something that has their name locked to it for sure.
Yeah, I think the WPT definitely has the best product right now. So, I want to play more of those tournaments just for that experience again. And tough spot here for Karen. She just calls with the ace-jack suited in position against an early position open, which I actually really like. You're going to keep in a lot of dominated hands. The suited variety plays really well post-flop, and her stack size would play that well in position. But now she's been put in a very tough spot by a squeeze out of the small blind with Cody. And this is going to be very close. It's just about 15 bigs, I would say, 14 to 16. It's a little late for me to do math right now.
About 40% of her stack.
Yeah, but I think with the dead money from the early position raise plus her call, she's getting a really good price. But I guess it just depends on how tight she thinks Cody's going to be here with his jams. Because he's definitely going to have ace queen, ace king, but is he going to have hands like ace 10, ace 5 suited, under pairs? And I think the answer is yes. So I don't mind a call here. Just so happens it's worst case scenario and runs into a better pipped hand.
So Cody will be at risk here, but he has the advantage, ace queen versus ace jack. Ace king 5 on the flop. No diamonds. So Karen now needing only a jack.
Chops it up.
Now a pairing of the board will give them a chop. So they pair the 5s. the king out there on the board, that'll chop it up. Aces and
gotta-
fives with a king.
Yeah, that's got to feel good after getting it in behind.
So I got to deal this event here for a couple of days. Dealt Karen a big pot. In day 2, she flopped 2 pair in the blinds with king 10, top 2, and just on the flop hooked it up with a flush draw for a bunch of chips, and that went Karen's way. So it's good to see. It's good to see her make it to the final table.
Basically, she's got you to thank for this final table, is what I'm hearing.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, I do.
You know,
I do what I can.
I'm gonna say it, even if you don't want to say it.
Our friends, as a poker dealer, our friends come and go very fast.
No, that's always fun though when you deal big pots. I'm sure to people you like.
Oh yeah, it was a good time. I enjoy getting to deal the tournaments and watch people compete. And Joe here, he's under the gun with a pair of pocket 10s.
3 players.
Vidi has ace 10 over there, ace 10.
Check. Checks.
And I missed that. Did VD call the open?
Vidi called from the cutoff.
Yeah,
Yes.
I really like that. That's another good example, similar to the ace jack suited hand. These suited Broadway hands play very well in position at a final table, and with the shorter average stack depth, I don't mind treating these as flats. If you're a little shorter, then you need to start raising them, but at this depth, I like the call here. Going for a little bit of value now on the river. I like it.
So Joe lays down his 10s, no problem. Didn't want to mess with this.
Looks like Reza is kind of a non-believer in general from what I can tell so far. What would really be fun is if you turn this hand into a raise. I'd prefer a raise versus a call. But I think folding here as we went to the river multi-way is the safe play here.
Yeah, I wonder how often when you make those hero calls and it doesn't work, how often would it have worked if you threw in the hero raise?
Well, you know, and there's different reasons to do the call versus the turning your hand into a bluff. And generally, you want your hand to interact with your opponent, or to not interact with your opponent's folding range. So you call those unblockers. And then you also want to interact with the best possible hands out there. And then on top of that, the line does need to make sense. So it does depend on the previous action. But generally, those are the properties of your hand that you want to have when you're turning your hand into a bluff. So a good example is if you're checking down to the river with maybe like second pair, and you think you have good showdown value, but now your opponent bets, and now you're not 100% sure about your showdown value, that might be a good hand to turn into a bluff if your other card has some sort of interaction with the board, or your opponent's possible strongest holdings, because now you can get your opponent to fold some of these top pair type hands or weaker hands. So always fun to think about all your possible options. A lot of us, kind of, and myself included, we get very robotic and just kind of play ABC style poker. But if you can find those extra, raises, those extra bluffs, it's gonna add up to a lot of extra chips by the end.
I think so many times in the 1-2 streets or the nightly streets, people don't remember the betting action on the flop and the turn and the relationship thereof. And they don't keep in mind the relationship of any one single card they have that could have a relationship with the board, like you're talking about. And yeah, that's good stuff to keep in mind as you grow with your poker game.
Absolutely. I also really like the way you put it. I'm going to start doing that relationship. I like that. Relationship to the board. It's like they're dating.
I like the word you used. What was it?
Interaction.
Interaction, yeah.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I like yours better. So
James Sunwoo rooting on Cody in the chat. Joe's going to land King Queen here on the button against Vandy's Ace 10.
yeah, Vandy's going to c-bet this board. Little dicey considering he doesn't have any I guess he has backdoor straight, but no backdoor flush, so it's going to be hard to barrel. And I do think the button flatting range is going to connect with this board quite a bit. And so I do like a give up now. You know, c-betting isn't terrible, but you want to have boards where you can continue barreling on, and I don't think this is one of them. Also, ace high might be good at showdown.
So a small bit of showdown value, but it's not going to work here as Joe lands the king, queen. Joe's going to take down.
Yeah, I would have liked to see a
About
river
$1
bet there. You know, based on the line that Bandy took, you're just never going to be beat there. And the river pairing the bottom pair against an under the gun open is actually a really good card for you, where it's unlikely to improve your opponent's hand. And so getting a little bit of value there, you know, is another good example of, you know, trying to get those extra chips instead of just kind of, you know, making the safe play and checking back.
Here's a suited big slick for Cody. Early position from the +1. Ow.
I'm going to go take the puppy out real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah, Bluey has joined us in the booth. Bluey's ready to run outside. So Danny will be back here in just a minute. Cody with ace-king. Q goes all in here with pocket 5, so he will be at risk. He's all in for $775,000. Queen, Jack, 9. 2 spades and a 10 ball on the turn. That'll wrap this one up. Cody turns a straight. Pocket 5's no good for Q. So Q will be out in 8th place. Great run for Q. Always fun to see him making final tables. Nice little prize for him as well. He's in 8th place. He will finish with $7,550. And now we are down to 7. The players have $9,500 locked up. Still battling it out today for that $56K up top. So there we go. This table not messing around. 2 of our short stacks coming into the final table have now been eliminated. Short stacks not finding any ground to chip up just yet. And we're down to 7 players. Cinema here is going to raise it up to 350 with pocket 7s from the low jack. Karen R on the button with big slick.
Raise 900,000.
So Karen decides on a pretty hefty 3-bet here, 900,000 now.
Thank you.
So I like this bet here, really testing Cinema to the strength of his hand. Kind of letting him know that if we're going to play this pot, it's probably going to be for your stack, as he only has 2.8 million behind. Got the chat pulled up here. Is that Sean D. Dilling? No, that is the rock star, Johnny. Johnny's in the box tonight. One of the many Texas Card House rock star dealers we have here at TCH. You might recognize Johnny. He'll play in some of the employee streams.
I felt like a lot when you said 300. I thought I had way more bigs than that.
Raise to 325 is that.
All right, Joe raising from the low jack, suited ace-5. Karen's got a couple of letters, and they're suited. Calls from the cutoff with queen, jack of hearts. Vandy, a good opportunity to just call from the button with an ace-8. Cody defends with his ace.
4 players to flop. Check.
6, deuce, 3 on the flop, 2 spades.
Checks.
Cody landing bottom pair there, but still a lot of equity for his opponents. Now he's up to 60% as everybody is whiffed again on the turn. King of clubs.
Check.
King of diamonds. Can the deuce hold up? 3 opponents behind him. So he'll throw a little blocker bet out there.
225 is bet.
Vandy makes the call with ace high, and the deuce will get paid on this river, so he'll pick up $1.4 million. Another chip up for Cody. It's one of those hands for Vandy where just him being last to act at an incredible price. He wants to
Ramped up my hand.
not let Cody get away with the bluff there.
Yeah,
He's
I
got a
think
little bit of enough
325 is a
to
raise.
make him turn his hand over, not win that pot for free. And not to mention he still has 7 million chips in his stack.
I kept your hand here.
JB sharing a little love for the dealers in the chat. The first time dealer on Saturday that did a nice job. Very nice. There you go, Larson, one of our favorites in the chat. Larson won. Their dog recently underwent a procedure.
75 is
Needs to feel some love in the chat, so help out Larson there. Cinema here waking up with kings in the small blind. He'll just ship it. Take down Joe's big blind. There's a look at our player stacks here. Big stacks forming now here in the 9, the 2, and the 3. Karen and Cody sitting pretty hefty themselves at 5 million. So Cinema now in the 7th seat. He's the shorty at 2.8 million, but still plenty of chips to play with here, as blinds are 150,000.
$150 is a bet.
Battle of ace-5 versus ace-6 here with a paired board.
Check, check.
A lot of opportunity, a great chance here to chop, and they do as the king hits the river. So that'll chop them up.
Not really. A little bit. All suited.
Still 260 viewers checking in with us here today. This is the final table of the bigger one, Texas Card House Dallas.
75 here.
We are down to 7 players. 1,400 entries in this bad boy.
All right, what did we miss here?
Well, we missed ace-5 versus ace-6 battle of the blinds that chopped.
Okay. Sounds about
And,
right. So nobody's been eliminated
Nobody's
here?
been eliminated. Let's see. Cinema did get to shipping all in from his small blind with kings, but he took down the big blind and Annie. And again here, we're having another weak ace versus weak ace. Reza has landed the 6 this time. He'll bet 300,000 on the turn and take that down.
Yeah, so from what I can tell so far, it seems like Reza is the most active player, really pushing his big stack around, which is never a bad strategy when you're chip leading a final table.
And as you mentioned earlier, he's having to do it a little bit carefully as Mark and Vidi is behind him. So he's having to pick and choose his spots. Can't open it up full throttle with those guys back there.
Yeah, and I'm guessing, knowing VD, he's going to kind of wait and find a spot that he likes and kind of attack Reza and try to take advantage of his loose opens and loose defense. So we'll see kind of how the metagame develops as maybe we lose a couple more players. Yeah, another thing you'll see about final table strategy and tournaments in general, there's a lot of changing pace depending on the situation. So you'll go from playing very loose and aggressive to playing very tight. Certain situations call for more passivity. So yeah, we'll see how these players kind of adjust.
Yeah, Richard, Q was eliminated. Danny was walking out when that happened. Pocket fives.
Oh, I missed that.
Lost to Ace King as you were walking out. Cody knocked out. Cody in the 4 seat knocked out Q in the 5 seat.
All right, so one more pay jump.
We are down to 7. Our short stack now sits in the 7th seat. That's Cinema, but he's still got plenty of chips at 2.8 million.
Fun little turn card here.
So a fun little spot here for VD.
Yeah, this is a really tough spot, especially with a player behind. Turns his hand into a bluff instead. That's the VD I know.
Exactly what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, he'll get after it.
Why hero call when you can hero raise?
And those are the types of plays that get him consistently back at the final table. He's definitely not afraid. You need a little bit of that crazy fearlessness to be able to run deep in tournaments, especially these giant multi-field ones.
Cody under the gun with the ace-10 of spades.
Yep. Just about 31 big blinds. I like the 2x open here. And off of 24 bigs, Jovo's spot here is kind of close. I don't mind a flat, though. He should have pretty good clarity post-flop and enough room to maneuver. It gets a little dicey, though, against an under-the-gun player when you're also short. You can't really handle a squeeze, but the table has not been very squeeze-happy, so I don't mind here trying to see a flop in position.
So Cody's going to land a flush draw on this flop, 9-7-5, 2 spades.
Yeah, so on this type of board, a 9-7-5 as the under-the-gun opener, I'm going to check my entire range here to the in-position caller. It's going to hit his range a lot stronger than us, and so I would expect him to continue quite a bit, which can be hard to play out of position. And so I prefer turning this hand into a check raise on the flop, or even check calling, keeping your opponent's hand range wide. But he does decide to do a more conventional approach and just c-bet himself. With his specific hand, he obviously has a ton of equity and can barrel, so it cannot be bad. It's just a different approach, that's all.
So Jofo picks up a gutter and the diamonds on this turn.
Yeah, that's one of the few turns that's going to keep him in here. We could have a lot of fun rivers here.
Queen of diamonds.
And that's tough. And so another property of this specific hand Cody has is you never really want to bluff.
And he goes all in on the bluff, and he will
I was
get an
gonna say,
immediate call.
Specifically with the ace-10 of spades, or the 10 is okay to have, but specifically with the spades, you want to choose hands that don't have spades in it because you want to target your opponent's call, fold. So your opponent called the flop, called the turn. What kind of hands are they doing that with that they're going to fold the river? The answer is mostly flush draws. And a very large part of their folding range is going to be the flush draws. So while he's good pushing his equity on the flop and turn, you do need to give up there on the river with some hands, and the spades are going to be your best options for that. So knowing when to kind of give up on your bluffs is really important as well. That being said, he does go for it. He's got the heart. Can never be bad if you know your opponent and you know your situation, and obviously just kind of runs into it there.
Yeah, how much of that do you think sometimes for beginning players that are out there listening, sometimes we get so frustrated to see that runner bad, and it's like almost like an insta tilt that we bet it because we had so much equity on that flop, and it's like an insta tilt. You know what I mean?
And that's very common with most players. You know, we're all human, and so I think that's why it's really important to try to stay objective. And I always tell myself, you know, every time the action's on me is a chance for me to make the perfect decision. And so that's all I can do is make really good decisions and try to stay logical throughout the hand. And so another thing you may have noticed is he kind of snap all in there. So he had a little bit of a timing tell as well there. You know, if he really had the backdoor diamonds, he probably would have thought about it.
Cody does find a club and is all in from the small blind, so he'll pick up a double up here.
625.
I'm like a cockroach. I'm going to stay around for a while.
Cody stays alive. That was the hand I got eliminated on the 10-7 suited.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. So yeah, Cody will stay alive here after sending a juicy double up to Joe. He was left with crumbs there, about 800,000 or so, and he picks up the full double up here. So he's staying alive.
Yep, back over 10 big blinds. He has a little bit of maneuverability now, especially since he just paid the big. He'll be able to see a full orbit and try to pick up a hand.
Yeah, you were talking about every moment you have the opportunity to make the right decision, and yeah, sometimes I think of it as a game of action and reaction, and it's full of action and reaction, right? I mean, that turn, that river was action. How you react to both those is up to you.
How much? 450.
Absolutely.
450.
And I like the way you described that hand with it just going diamond, diamond, and filling up the straight. Sometimes you can figure out the riddle, the board, and use the board as a puzzle, right? And when it goes that badly, you want to maybe just throttle down.
You just want to kind of think it through a little bit. He made a very snap decision. I think he was, in my opinion, maybe he was thinking he had the 10, which is a good card to bluff with there. But I think you need a little bit more to go with that. Also, the 10 jack doesn't really make a ton of sense based on the flop and pre-flop play. So it's a little harder to represent that. And you kind of want to use your card distribution to help make those decisions for you.
So here we get a walk here for Joe. And at the 150,000 blind level, the stacks are sitting to where we could possibly slow down here a bit. We're not picking on Cody, by the way. We love Cody.
Oh, no, and you know, that's another thing I want to say. First of all, we see the hands. It makes it a lot easier. Also, poker is a tremendously complicated game, and everybody makes mistakes every final table. So by no means am I criticizing. These are just ideas that we're trying to get across. And again, like with his hand, he was pushing so much equity. You know, C-bet can't be that bad either.
And here he is in the cutoff with ace-queen.
Yeah, so this is a really great spot for him now. Very strong hand. Could definitely get called by worse. Almost good enough to try to even min raise and induce somebody to come in. But a jam is completely standard and fine as well.
So now he'll pick up some blinds and antes. He'll be up to 14 blinds or so now.
Yep, never out. Never give up. About 13.5, 14 bigs. Yeah, it's always fun to try to kind of talk through the hands and kind of see if we can, you know, understand why we do what we do and try to think about better lines moving forward. But, you know, none of this is said with 100% confidence. It's just kind of thinking through it.
That's the beauty of the game.
Absolutely, yeah. We're all just trying to figure it out. There are more ways to shuffle a 52-card deck than there are atoms in the universe. So
Right?
this is an endless game here. We'll
All-
never figure it out.
Yeah, I heard a saying one time that always freaks me out. Out of all the poker hands that have ever happened in the world, no two of them have ever been similar.
Exactly. So like people's brains can't comprehend that because our brains aren't good at thinking about very, very large numbers. But 52 factorial is indeed quite a large number.
So Karen finds a spot there to rip it from the big blind. She will take down a little pot there.
And what you just said right there is actually why, if you're looking to study and get better at the game, trying to memorize solver outputs is not the way to go about it. You want to think about heuristics and logic for maybe why people do what they do or why the solver does what it does. So you can bring those heuristics to you in the real game to fall back on. And that's why I love this game and why it's so beautiful.
Heads up.
Queen, Jack 5, 2 spades.
Perfect action flop.
Hello.
Here.
Top 2 versus open-ended. And VD fills up on the
Did
turn.
they check real quick, or are they still on the flop?
I feel like we might have had a little bit of a glitch. Let's see what happened there. They are on the turn,
Okay,
so
so
yeah,
they
that was
did
a
check,
quick check.
So yeah, a little unfortunate run out here for VD. A little harder to get paid now that you block all the strongest hands. Would have been nice to see an ace or a 9 there. Let's see if Reza decides to get out of line or just gives it up. You want to be a little more careful getting out of line against another big stack because VD is the one person at the table who can hurt him.
Ace high was good.
Lego, I think he means that played out not similarly, but exactly the same.
Yeah. Yes, exactly the same. Similar times a little bit.
I like that fold there by Cody. I think it's kind of easy to get a little, feel like you're in a little more danger than you are with 14 big blinds and rip the small ace there from early position. While the aces are good while you're short, I think he's got a little more maneuverability where he can wait for a better hand.
14 blinds, out of position, big money move-ups.
Exactly. So, like, again, you're making real money by folding, especially if you think other people at the table are going to make mistakes and are likely to blow up. You want to try to hang around as long as possible.
Nice flop here for Karen on the button with Queen Jack.
Uh-oh, and Vandy might get himself in a little bit of trouble here, depending on the run out.
Vandy's going to pick up a club draw here.
Let's see if she decides to go for a raise right now or if she tries to keep him in by just calling.
So he just bet 200,000 into 1.1.
550.
Yeah, I think with that size bet, I really like a raise here by Karen. Really charging a lot of continues that I would expect him to have. He's going to pick up a lot of draws here. He's going to have, pairs as well, calling from the small blind. So I do really like the raise, and she does take it down. And a good disciplined fold there by Vandy, too. It's easy to see, oh, I've got a flush draw, I want to continue. But in reality, your situation is very bad. If you call and get there, you're out of position on the river, so it's unclear how you're going to get paid for value. Plus, there's a lot of stronger value hands that you could just end up making a second best hand and busting yourself. So it's best to just kind of get out of the way there.
Hand 37 here of the final table. The bigger one here at Texas Card House Dallas. I'm RJ Dupree in the commentating booth with my man, Danny Marks. Vandy finding queens here on the button.
See what sizing he goes for here. I like the small size. Another good final table tip for everybody. In almost every single node, you want to be sizing down. So your opens, your 3-bets, and even your value bets post-flop, everything wants to go smaller because the value of your chips, the value of chips won is not as much as value of chips lost. So you need to be very careful when it comes to putting them in. Oh, and this is the perfect flop for trouble here.
Queen 10-3.
Oh my
my
gosh,
goodness.
this money is
2
gonna
hearts
get in.
and now
they're
2 pair
slow
for
playing
Joe.
it. Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if Jofo raises right now.
So Vandy likes the ace coming out here on the turn, so he's going to go for some money here. 700,000.
Yeah, a bit of a cooler flop.
And Joe has ripped it. 2 pair and a flush draw. And he is going to find bad news as Vandy flop top set with his queens. An ace
He can hold ace or a
or
heart.
a heart. No avail for Joe. And a big pot goes to Vandy. That will eliminate Joe. The ace 3 of hearts.
No, he's got more chips.
Joe did?
Yeah. So Vandy doubles up here. You want to be pretty careful. Ace 3 suited is a good raise off of that stack size in early position. But when you get 3-bet, it's just not going to play super well if these depths out of position. You can occasionally turn it into a bluff, but you're going to end up cooling yourself quite a bit here, as seen. But obviously with that flop in turn, there's nothing he can really do there. So,
well, pardon
just
me,
a bit of a
Joe
cooler.
and listeners. I forgot Joe doubled up with the massive double up off Cody earlier. I'm slacking. That's all there is to it. So there we go. Oh, I missed the number. I'm back on track now. Maybe.
All right, Vandy's going to open it up a little bit now that he's got some fresh chips.
It's like a clear pin.
Close spot for Cody there off of 10
Dirt
bigs.
marking.
Mark is usually pretty tight, so I don't mind a fold there. But King 9 suited off 10 is going to start getting to where you want to think about sticking it in. But
Yeah. Oh, you broke it.
you might not think you have very much fold equity there, so I like his fold.
And in the small blind, you've made it through the penalty of the taxing
Yeah, so he's got a
scenario of
full
the orbit.
Yeah.
So now you know you get a few more hands here to check out.
Take it off the top, though. I'm not getting nothing.
How much does that come into play when you're in the small blind with 11, 12 bigs?
Free hands are everything, especially at a final table. So you never want to really give up, especially with the big blind ante. You don't have to pay a dime for the entire orbit. So a lot of players, they might lose everything with their last big blind or two, and they'll just shove any two the next hand. But if you're on the button and it folds to you, you don't have to get too out of line there. You can afford to wait a little bit.
Reza finds ace king under the gun, picks up blinds and antes.
So it looks like Reza and VD are kind of out in front, and then there's 3 stacks in the middle with Cinema and Cody a little bit shorter. But honestly, Cody's the only one in the red zone here at 10 bigs. Cinema has 18 as the next shortest, and everybody else is quite healthy. So it's really anybody's game here. We'll see if Reza and VD keep leaning on the table.
Raise 325.
Karen under the gun with 9s. She'll raise it up.
Ooh, that's what Cody wants to see off 10 bigs.
300 and a quarter. And Cody now with aces.
All in.
Raise all in.
So raise in early position. Cody has aces, 10 bigs. He's ready to rip it.
Yeah, and Karen's going to have to call this for 8 big blinds more.
1.4 million.
Going to need to get lucky here. Bit of a cooler.
It's over right here. It's over.
So Cody at risk here. 9s versus aces. 7-7 deuce.
We need a 9-9 only.
Queen, jack, no avail for Karen. Cody gets the double up.
When I had good hands.
Boom, just like that.
Nice hand, Cody, and that's why you never give up. He
That's kind of unusual for you,
he
Cody.
was down to a few bigs, and now he's right back in it.
There you go. That's why you don't wrestle with that weak ace out of position. And the small blind holdings that he had, didn't want to mess with it.
Yep.
And boom, now he's right back up to 3.5 million.
His patience pays off.
That seemed better than like King 7 and stuff because you have a king, you know. So
Yeah, you got to
get
figure
in there and
you're
see
at
what
least
happens.
60-40
Yeah,
there.
I won 2 cards live, and I figured
Yeah.
out pretty decent chance to have 2 cards there.
Vandy, pocket sixes under the gun. Interesting spot.
Yep, this is probably the smallest pair I'll open here in this position. Maybe fives, depending on how aggressive you think the chip leaders are going to be fighting back against you.
Cinema here with, he flats in the cutoff with pocket
Yeah,
eights.
off of 18 bigs, I probably won't have any flats here. Eights is like a really kind of close hand in between. Like, if you're going to flat, it's probably okay to do it, but I'm probably just 3-betting or getting it in here.
King, Jack 3, and Reza
Check.
hanging out over there with King 9 lands the best of it.
500,000.
Yeah, and you can see that Vandy really likes to c-bet most of his holdings here, even multi-way. But with this board pair, he's probably going to need to shut down. Yeah, going to try to represent this ace. Going to have to go for a large sizing if he's going to want to get it done, and he only goes half pot. Let's see if it works. But, you know, he can very reasonably represent this ace considering he raised pre-flop and c-bet the flop, and he does get it through. So very nice play there by Vandy.
Had you all the way to the river, I think.
Even gets Reza talking. Leaves Reza mumbling there a little bit in the small blind as that ace hits the river.
And that's why you want to always consider the runouts. And so, you know, he was going to give up until an ace comes. And he's like, you know what, this is a stronger card for me than it is for my opponent. And so I'm going to take a shot at it.
And if you're in Reza's position there defending from the small blind, you get that nice little brick on the turn. Would you like to lead out on the turn with that, or what do you think?
No, I'm still checking to the pre-flop razor. You know, Mark opened under the gun, or Vandy opened under the gun, and so he's going to have all the ace-king, aces, king-queen type hands. So you really need to play in flow on that card. Maybe if the middle card pairs, I'd be more likely to lead out because we can more likely represent that hand. But I don't think that is a turn lead.
Some fun people checking in the chat. Sassy now joining us, one of our
Sassy.
favorites.
Welcome. Come on, tell Work that you got a poker game to watch.
Yeah. Who works
I know.
when TCH Live is on? Now over 300 viewers across the stream networks checking in. Make sure you're hitting like, smashing subscribe. We got to let Danny know we love him, so make sure you hit like.
Yeah, guys, you're going to hurt my feelings if you don't hit the like button while you're here. Where's Adam when you need him? We need
That's right.
someone smashing that like button
Our
for
chat
us.
cheerleader, Adam and Streamlabs, letting everybody know.
Oh, I guess we don't have Streamlabs on today? That's what somebody was saying in
Yeah,
chat.
somebody mentioned that they're missing today, so I'm not sure.
Pez is the original OG chat pro back from one of my cash games. That is Danny commentating with RJ over here. Pez is another local player here, always fun to play with.
200.
Sassy, we're your patients, okay?
That's right.
We
Dealing
need you to
with
take care of
patience.
us.
Teach them how to be fans of the gut shot, and they'll join in with us.
Yeah.
So 3-5 flopped open-ended, but finds nothing. Jack 9 will take it down. Reza picks up a little bit.
And,
He's approaching 10 million now.
Yeah. I think everybody's, you know, navigating this final table quite well so far from what I can tell.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Streamlabs is on the other stream. We have a cash game stream, I think, going from Houston. So, yeah, there's a little bit of logistics things that'll be a little bit different when that's happening. Who is Danny? This is Danny Marks, commentating in the booth with myself, RJ Dupree. And, of course, Danny is poker extraordinaire, the banner himself. Quite the poker resume. He's joining us. When he speaks, you want to listen. It's good stuff.
He's just kidding, JB3. I'm just another poker donkey like the rest of us. Just having fun here in the booth.
Sharing donkey thoughts
Exactly.
for everyone.
Listen at your own peril.
1, 2, 3. We're still 7-handed here. Hand 45.
And that's just a testament to the structure here. Whenever you're at the final table with, where the average stack is 30, 40 big blinds deep, there's just so much play, and it really allows the cream to rise to the top here. That's why you see a lot of these same players making it to the final table over and over again. Sassy the puppy is with me here in the booth. She's sleeping on my lap right now. I don't know if you guys can see us. I don't think
Bluey
so.
is here. We'll check in with Bluey
Yeah,
here in a little
we'll
bit
show
for
her
sure.
at the end of the stream. So yeah, stay to the end of the stream if you all want to see the cutest puppy in the world. If that won't bribe you to stay, I don't know what will. Well, JB3, I'm glad you're an enjoyer. That's what we're here for. So.
That's right. Poker Donkey with a banner and a WPT final table.
Exactly. I
Let's do it.
I just run really good at Choctaw and hoping to get some more final tables there. Although James Mackey beat me to the double banner, so little disappointed about that.
How rude. So 7-handed here, and you talked about the structure being amazing. And yeah, it'll slow down a little bit here through a couple of these levels. We have moved up to 100, 200,000 on the blinds and antes.
That'll move things along for sure. Yeah, so now Cinema's under 10 bigs and in the danger zone with the blind raise. 2-card Arsenal, I really appreciate that. You don't want to know me personally. I'm a horrible human being, so I appreciate you thinking I'm sharp.
That's not true. I can stand up for Danny. He's cool.
Oh, thank you. I was trying to make a weird joke, but it just came out awkward, so oh well. Swing and a miss. Cody picking up another good hand off of 20 bigs. Again, he's been very patient, playing his big hands, and giving himself a chance here to get back.
Reza able to defend with 10-8 suited and picks up a big flop, 8-8-3.
375. Check.
So Cody, not a lot going on here, but that deuce 3 is going to make it tempting.
I think you want to be a little careful here with the double barrel. I think ace queen is strong enough where you're actually going to be good some of the time.
So Reza is check raised here.
The problem with barreling here is now you're going to kind of filter your opponent's hands into. He's not folding anything that you beat, so I would try to be getting to showdown here cheap. And against a raise here, we're just never good.
And it opened the door for this check raise.
Yeah. I don't mind a small c-bet on the flop here. Even honestly, for value, you're going to get called by worse. But you want to start slowing down here on the turn. Maybe consider some check calls.
Ace high is good, and I fold.
All right, finds himself in a position where he has to fold. Let's go of it. Leaves him with
the famous Mr. German Moneymakers in the chat.
What's up, Moneymaker?
Yeah. I will be going out there to Southeast Asia at some point. Me and Casey have been wanting to travel and do some Asian poker tour stuff, so maybe we'll come visit you in Cambodia.
Here we go, Moneymaker checking in from all the way in Cambodia.
And yeah, so I actually also think that Pez is correct, where you probably don't need a shove there. Your hand is just so strong and your opponent can't really have too many strong hands, which you're going to stack anyway if he's got the overpairs. So I would try to just call there with the 10-8 and let my opponent kind of bluff on the river if possible, or consider maybe some leads on the river depending on what comes. But you always want to give your opponent a little bit of rope when they're not really representing much.
Yeah, I think he might have felt like Cody was ready.
Yeah.
With the double barrel there. Yeah,
for sure. That's definitely possible. He might think it's his best chance to get it in against 9s or 10s or something. Yeah, it's those little spots where we want to try to get, a little extra value. Always think through our bets and calls.
Too much.
So Cody grinding away over there, but he's still got a little bit.
Low value.
Reza's really doing well though in the small pots and picking up a lot here and there, the blinds to kind of keep pushing on the table. So he's really earning it back in the other hands.
Right, and that's one of the benefits of being able to defend in blind positions, able to pick up some small ones here and there. Now he's feeling a little spicy. Going to bump it up on the button with Queen 8 of clubs.
Yeah, this is a good raise here as the chip leader on the button. Probably anyone could actually open this on the button. Andy picks up the flush draw, plays it passively, which I like. Consider check raise now, or a call. See if he decides to lead here on the river.
Checks to the button and gets the bet.
Raise to $1 million.
Yeah, I think he played it well. I like this line here. And one thing I've noticed at this table, players are c-betting very frequently and barreling very frequently, which, it's easy to look back on how you gained your chips and with some solid value bets or bluffs that got through c-bets. But you really want to take your time and think about the situation because some situations do call for more passivity. It's not always aggression, especially at the final table. So every chip is so valuable that you want to think about why you're putting the money in.
Yeah, remembering that these pay jumps start to get pretty juicy here, but it's still hard to throttle down when you're in the moment and got it going.
But that being said, I don't mind it as much from Reza because he is such a big chip leader where he can really put extra pressure. All of his bets have a multiplier effect on them against his opponent, so he can really do the pedal to the metal here.
500 is bet.
So with the stacks being so deep, had a bit of a lull here with eliminations, which is to be expected. Players are playing very snug and good. Cinema with a nice shove here off of 9 big blinds. Under the gun with ace-jack.
Calls.
And VD with a close spot here in the small blind. Definitely don't mind the call against 9 big blinds. It's a little dicier against an under the gun jam, but Cinema is going to be jamming quite a few hands here, so I do like the call from VD. And we're off to the races. All right, and that will be it for Cinema. Good game. With that pot, VD becomes, I believe, the chip leader now.
What's up?
Pez, as soon as Pez says a spicy one is coming, we get an elimination the very next hand. So thanks for playing Cinema with that elimination. RJ will be right back. I don't know where to press the overlay here. I don't want to screw anything up. So we'll get the prize pool here pulled up here shortly and see what Cinema took away.
Told you, I'm a cockroach. I'm not going away.
Calls 2.
I just made 2K.
So yep, we got a 2K pay jump here. 6 players left, starting to get into some big pay
Raise
jumps.
450 is the bet. Fold. Folds.
The eliminator. The eliminator.
Another really good final table tip is when you are the third player in as the big blind, you need to be extra careful with what kind of hands you're defending. It's really hard to realize your equity, especially off this short stack here from Joe. out of position multi-way with a hand like 10-9 off. And so while in a cash game or earlier in the tournament, this would be a simple defend. I think hands that strong could even be considered a fold. You want to incentivize your opponent also to clash. And when there's 3 players in there, it's going to be less likely that they're going to clash. And therefore getting an extra player eliminated.
800 is about.
But also, 10-9 is a pretty easily playable hand with a lot of post-flop clarity. So that's probably on the border, so it's pretty close. Can't be bad either way. Another thing you want to keep in mind as you start to get short, like Joe, you don't want to be flatting as much in general. You want to enter the pot with aggression. So you want to start, you don't want to really have any flats off of his stack size. You want to just have 3 bets. You can do small 3 bets and 3 bet all-ins. You'd want to do your small 3 bets with a polarized range like aces and some ace blocker hands. And then you can do your all-in jams with a more linear range, like all your suited broadways and stuff like that. Karen with another premium here. A little dicey of a board, but she should feel pretty good here, especially with the Queen of Clubs and the second ace coming out. Don't mind checking it back, though, and takes it down.
Nice hand, Karen.
Nice hand.
A little hard to get value there on the river. I do like a check. All right, so we got RJ back. While he was gone, we did lose a player. And I didn't want to go to the overlays, but you can go ahead and show the prizes to see.
Cinema, where'd my man go?
Yeah, so Cinema had a pretty standard hand. He jammed ace-jack, and BD won the race with 6s.
400.
So Cinema is our 7th place finisher.
We'll watch this hand real quick here as Reza has ace-queen. Nothing happening. The big blind will go away.
Yeah, and Reza's definitely been the one taking down these uncontested pots.
So there we go, a 7th place finish for Cinema. Awesome run, outlasting 1,400 entries. Nice prize for him as he picks up $9,500. And now we are in the 5-digit club. Players have locked up 11,600.
Yeah, this is turning into a really nice payday. These players are all playing very well, maneuvering nicely.
And a nice little pay jump there for Cody. So shout out to him as he let go a couple of those.
Absolutely, and he's been kind of spinning it back up a little bit. So he's definitely not out of it.
Yeah, took that big hit and kicking and scratching and clawing, and he's found.
Yeah, you can tell he's
nice
a very
little pay jump.
You can tell he's a very thoughtful player. So give himself a chance to win here for sure.
Jack 10-9, couple open-enders out there. Karen with the best of it. Pairs the board here on the river.
See if anyone goes for it here. Karen will take it down with the 9s. So JB3 with a really good question. Danny, does your range get wider or more narrow as the table gets smaller? So as you lose players, you generally want to think about it in the reverse. So now, instead of just saying under the gun when you're 6-handed, under the gun is actually the hijack. So you're going to want to open the same range that you're going to be opening the hijack normally. So basically, all the early position ranges get cut out naturally because you're skipping them. And because of that, the ranges in general do get wider. Because your opponent's ranges, opening from late position are going to be much wider in general.
So here we go. We've got some holdings here as Cody has to go all in with pocket kings for 1.7 million. And Vidi makes the call with ace king suited in spades.
Yeah, pretty big cooler here for
And that'll
Vidi.
do it.
Luckily, he only has 9 big blinds, so not going to hurt him too much. But Cody's been picking up quite a few monsters here.
King 9-9 on the flop, so they would have hooked it up regardless of the situation.
Just catching the
You ain't getting
hands.
those premium hands when you need them.
Aces, king.
That's what I'm saying. If I didn't
Another
play the
chip
other
up for
ones, I'd be
Cody.
good to go.
You were talking about how your range changes as the table gets smaller. How often does it matter what's in the big blind to your cutoff, the positions, the stacks behind you, things to that nature?
Well, and yeah, so that's, you know, that was more of a overarching view, that answer to JP3, but that question is probably even more important for which hands you should be choosing at a final table. It's most important how many big blinds the big blind has. You want to know who you're raising into because the big blind is the most likely opponent that you're going to clash with. So if it's the chip leader, you know, you're not going to get it through as often. He's going to be able to put more pressure on you. So you need a little bit of a tighter range in general when you're opening into the chip leader. Generally, I take the average effective stack for all players left to act, but I put a little bit more weight on the big blind. And then also who the players are, you know, are the types of players that are going to squeeze. Like Vidi is the only player here I know that is going to squeeze a little bit lighter. I'm sure there's other players that I'm not as familiar with, but that's another thing to take into consideration. If no one's going to squeeze you, you can start opening a more, you know, standard protected range, not worried about getting raised.
200.
So that's a really good question. Definitely want to consider the big blinds of the players left to act.
I know sometimes even when the tournament is still in the large field setting, if I move tables or anything like that, that's like one of the first things I try to pick up on is who is the big blind in my button and my cutoff.
Absolutely.
So we're six-handed here. We are semi-live, Texas Card House, Dallas. Final table here for the bigger one. Six-handed. These players, a $300 buy-in, have now locked up a prize of more than $11,000. So a nice little bankroll builder for these players. Still battling it out with $56,000 top prize here tonight.
Yeah, if you guys are trying to, if you love poker, you're trying to build a bankroll, this is an amazing tournament for that. Every week we have a Saturday tournament with a very nice first place prize. And then once a month we have this bigger one that's a multi-flight. And it's really, you know, you can build a bankroll overnight in this game. So it's also a great place to get some practice in.
Absolutely. Once a month, this $300 buy-in monthly. Usually the last weekend of the month, an incredible tournament, probably the best tournament in Texas. And we do want to show that our regular Saturday, let me get that graphic off there. Regular Saturday tournament has changed just a bit here at Texas Card House Dallas. It's now $175 buy-in with a $15,000 guarantee. This tournament will start at 4 p.m., same start time, $50,000 in starting stack. So it's just going to be a little bit deeper and a little bit different on the buy-ins and guarantees. And so the fields will be a little bit more plentiful. The deeper stack Saturdays here at Texas Card House Dallas, 4 p.m. So you want to check that one out as well. That will be a nice little weekly bankroll builder for the folks around here. As this one here, we mentioned the best tournament around, $300 monthly tournament.
Absolutely. TCH is, yeah, I've played all over the country. TCH is absolutely one of the best places to play. Amazing staff, great tournaments. You guys are looking for a good time, some practice. TCH is the place to come. Bluey
might have had a a snore right there, making it through the microphone.
Yeah, the puppy is sleeping here in my lap. She's absolutely adorable. If you guys want a sneak peek, you can check her out on my my Instagram account, marx.danny, or wait, even better, yeah, wait till the end of the stream, and you'll get to see her in the booth with us.
Yeah, Mark's Danny Instagram account, obviously a fun follow, especially for the poker psychos out there in the world. So you definitely want to check out Danny on Instagram. Myself, I'm the Dupe Show on Instagram, which it's been fun since I've been commentating and stuff, starting to get a little bit of some poker following and chit-chat
Nice.
with some poker folks, so it's been kind of fun. Ace Deuce of Spades versus Ace 3. We have a pair for Ace 3 and a flush draw for Karen.
$350.
Alex, give your name on table 3.
And Viddy here going to stick around with that Ace 3 landing bottom pair.
Checks.
So now a 10 of diamonds on the turn. Check to Karen.
Yeah, I think I'd like to see Karen continue her aggression here in position. She's going to have all the strongest hands here. She's the only one who's going to have ace-king, top 2 pair, king-queen type of hands. And she just has so much equity she can push here. She's also blocking those straights. So a lot of opportunities on the river, even if she misses. And I really like that aggression. Really well played by Karen.
Yep, continued aggression there on the button and takes it down, puts an end to that one. JB3 in the chat asking if I was dealing day 2 yesterday, and I was. I did deal day 2 yesterday, stayed quite busy here at Texas Card House Dallas. And yeah, I try to leave every table of its tournament when I'm done dealing and say, see you at the final table. You know, it's an optimistic wish for the players.
At least with Karen, it was true, right?
Yeah, and so yeah, as I've gotten into the commentating a bit, now when I say see you at the final table, I might see you at the final table. So.
And then they'll remember if they actually get there.
Yeah,
that you
that's
said
right.
That. They're like, oh, he knew.
Yeah, it's always fun to install a little bit of optimism into the players.
Absolutely, and that's why the dealers here are great. Do you prefer dealing tournaments or cash games, or it doesn't really matter for you?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter for me. As a dealer, you generally want to do cash games just for the opportunity at a little more money.
Gotcha.
But as a competitor, as a poker guy, I enjoy spending time at my tournament tables just as much as I do the cash games.
And here's an interesting spot here from Cody. Opening as the small blind, I probably would just prefer off of his stack size to go all in. Raise folding here is
painful.
Pretty painful because it's a pretty large percentage of your stack, giving 3 blinds away. And 10 Jack actually suited performs really well as a jam because a lot of your opponent's calls are going to be hands like King Queen, Ace King, Ace Queen, and so you're going to be very live against those types of hands, or pairs like 8s or 9s. Obviously, you're hoping for the fold, but those are the worst case scenarios. And your opponent's calls are not going to have too many dominated 10s and Jacks in them. Although in this case, it'd be like Ace 10, Ace Jack.
Raise 450. Raise to 1.1 million.
Yeah, and this is what VD's good at here, putting a lot of pressure on where other players are going to be a little bit more passive, and this gets him a lot of extra chips. And Reza, who likes to see a lot of flops here, he's not going to want to let this go, but I think against a 3-bet coming in cold, you probably just need to get out of the way here.
There you go, and indeed he does get out of the way.
And I really like VD's decision here to pick on Vandy, who's got a medium stack and has to be a little more careful. So really trying, now that the table's getting shorter, you're going to start seeing some of the bigger stacks try to make some moves here.
Yeah, the first time tonight we've seen a good spot there for a 3-bet from the cutoff. Able to pick on Vandy, and at the same time keep Rez from defending in that big blind.
Yeah, and that's another good thing about 3-betting versus flatting is you always want to try to keep the pot heads up if possible. You're going to have a much higher equity share, and it allows you to maneuver a little bit better.
Could have a mess here, 3-handed, and we have 8s versus 9s versus ace-king, and we get a
Oh,
flop.
man, and this is going to be a cooler here for VD, especially he's also got the ace of spades. Really love his check, though, multi-way. You can get your value on later streets, and this board is very connected.
And Reza is going to lead out here on the turn just to see what's going on, and he's probably going to find out. Karen here with a set will raise it up.
Oh, man,
Look at
VD
VD,
is just
a
above the
stud.
board here, above the rim. Yeah, and he actually got really lucky that Reza let out here. It allowed him to get out of the way. If he checked and Karen bet, VD definitely would have called and then probably called a river bet as well. So it's funny how that kind of butterfly effect can just change everything and either be good for you or bad for you. In this case, really well played.
VD able to dodge a bullet there, insta-mucks it. No problem. And there you see pocket threes under the gun. Not worth it in this spot. He lets those go as well.
Yeah, always take care of your dealers, everybody. You know, dealing is a very difficult job, and they do rely on tips, at least here in the States, as their main source of income. So if you enjoyed your dealers and you thought they did a great job, don't be afraid to give them a little extra when you do well. Kind of give back. Keep the money in the community. Keep it flowing, and that's how you get the best dealers to come back. So.
Yeah, and sometimes people are asking about the standard of what to tip in a cash after cashing in a tournament. And yeah, just whatever you feel is appropriate, you know?
Yeah, I don't feel
when you
comfortable
cash in a
telling
tournament,
you.
there's usually a box or something. There's some way to set it up for you to where you can throw the dealer something if you like. And it works out great for us here in Dallas. The people have been amazing, and we are very fortunate to have a good, fun job that we're able to do, and we appreciate everything that you guys hook us up with.
Absolutely, and that's another reason I'll tip more here at my home casino because you know, I really appreciate everybody who works here, and so I think I don't feel comfortable giving a specific percentage because it is very unique. So if you're professional, it does make sense to, you know, be a little more careful with how much you're tipping, but you do still need to tip. And then, you know, if you're playing for fun and you can afford it, you really want to take care of everybody, but just give what you can afford and what makes sense to you.
Fun spot here in this final table as Reza found a spot in the cutoff. He 3-bets it up with the king-9 of hearts.
Yeah, I love to see him 3-bet here. He's been very active, but we haven't had seen him be able to find many squeeze spots here. So it's nice to see him getting a little after it here with a strong hand like that.
So here we go, 6-handed, and we've seen a couple of 3-bets now. So we're going to see if we can fire this thing up.
Raise to 1,000,000.
Vandy just flats on the button here with the ace-6 off.
Raise.
I'm not a fan of this play. Ace-6 specifically plays very poorly post-flop. And so I think you're just going to want to come in for the raise or just fold pre. You're not really getting dominated hands to call very often. Cody does make a standard jam here off of 10 big blinds with king, queen suited, very strong hand, and just runs into it up against VD's ace-queen. So gonna need some help here to survive.
Gonna
Some
need a
runner
king.
or queen. Or, I mean.
Oh, no, that's not fair. That's not fair. Okay.
All right, really well played, Cody. Gave himself a chance to come back.
Nice game, Cody.
Yeah, nice game for Cody there. And, man, he could have packed it up after that big hit, and he did not. He stayed in it. He stayed locked in and moved up at least one pay spot, I think 2, right, since then. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
great job for Cody. Finishing here in 6th place 11,600. A sweet run for him.
Quite the pocket change there to.
So as you can see, these pay jumps moving up quite a bit. We're now down to 5 players, guaranteed 14,300.
Yep. Now that we're 5-handed, the blinds are going to keep moving around faster and faster, forcing more action.
So 5-handed now. The +1 is in the cutoff.
Yeah.
Still at 200,000 on the big blind.
Heads up.
Pocket 6s here.
750 to fold.
Vidi misses the board. 6s will bet and take it down.
Button on the floor.
Yeah, Vandy's staying very aggressive. It's one of the ways he gets a lot of chips here.
I know sometimes in we mentioned the weak ace calling there, flatting the min raise on the button, and I know sometimes in like GTO format, you can sneak in from the button sometimes, right? Some people like to will flat there just to kind of sneak in from the button.
There are certain stack sizes and situations where flatting from the button does make sense, which we've learned about recently. But I have to look at his stack size, but generally it's against if the blinds have reshoving stacks, which actually Cody did, so
Right.
that does make sense. You give them a little less incentive to shove a correct range there because they're getting worse price. You want to do it with hands where your opponent's going to be able to come in with dominated hands. You're like forcing them to play. For example, in that situation, you're forcing them in because you're just limping with like 6-10 offsuit. And so now if there's a 6 on the flop, you can make some more chips where originally they're just going to fold pre-flop. But the problem specifically with a6 is you're not really going to get too many situations like that because 6 is rarely, top pair. You're not really going to be having in any dominated aces. So it's going to be really hard to kind of be in a dominating spot post-flop with that specific hand.
I know a lot of times in my own mind, I've kind of battled with that own thought of when to maybe sneak in on buttons and when to not so much mess with it. And of course GTO, obviously a little more cash game oriented, but
also, well, that's not necessarily true, but also Vandy has had almost 50 big blinds, and so it's a little more appropriate if he's the one who can be putting on a lot of the pressure. So let's say he had 15, 16 blinds and maybe a big stack's going to rejam on him a lot. That might be a situation for him to go ahead and limp. But he wants to be putting max pressure on Cody. And so I would have preferred either just raising or folding.
kind of going after him there. Yeah, it kind of worked out good for him there that he didn't go after Cody because obviously the VD had the ace-king in between those guys, so he was able to get it done.
Yeah, in that specific situation, obviously, he ran into two monsters there. But yeah, trying to be not results-oriented, but also, honestly, you can even just fold the ace-6 there, especially when VD has a big stack there in the small blind and can put you in a lot of tough spots.
So Vandy able to take this one down with second pair. VD having to throw king, queen into the muck a couple of times here, that lap of the button. So now we're five-handed. Blinds are still 100, 200,000.
Yeah, we've got over 337 viewers here in the chat. If you guys are here, remember to hit the like button. Really helps us out. Really appreciate it if you guys, if we know you like it. So let us know if there's anything we can be doing for you.
Jack 9-3, two diamonds. Vandy landing top pair, and
Ooh.
VD turning. Gut
Nut
shot straight.
600. Calls.
That's the VD I know.
Check. 2 million. Full.
Bit of an unfortunate run out there for VD to get paid. Trying to represent the missed flush draws. Good fold there by Vandy.
Turn the nut straight, and it got bigger on the river. The ace scaring off any would-be payoffs.
All right, we're at hand 76. Pace of play here is really quick. Players are getting after it.
Fold. Call. Fold.
Reza with another suited king here to raise.
So yeah, 5-handed under the guns, not in terrible position to make some raises.
Check. Player is all in.
Joe finds a spot to jam it here as he's flopped bottom 2. Vandy, a gutter ball and middle pair here pretty much.
Yeah, I think 11 bigs is going to be a little too much here. It's such a connected board that we're just not really in great shape here. Multi-way. We also still have Reza, who's the original raiser, to act behind us.
Reza's
Oh,
folded.
never mind.
He was
Reza
under the
did
gun.
fold. Okay, yeah. Even so,
11's a little hefty here. 11 blinds, that is.
yeah. You know, he does have the gut shot as backup, he figures, which is why he's thinking about it.
And of course, if there's a chance you think you might be ahead, 11 blinds is
Yeah, he
might
does.
be a
He does
decent
go with
price.
his gut.
Definitely tempting at 11 blinds, and he does go for it here. So Joe Foe will be at risk here. Jack 10 or 9.
Yeah, nice double up here from Joe.
Nice hand.
And yeah, Lego, only 46 likes. I know all of you guys are at the WSOP and dreaming about summer bracelets, but give us some love here in Dallas and hit that like button for us.
That's right. Hit that like button. It helps
Blinds are up.
for myself and Danny. It helps the algorithm of the computers. It helps share the stream and all that good stuff. So it is good, sweet nectar to hit that like button.
Yeah, Pez, I completely agree. It'd be a little different, let's say, if there's a flush draw on board and our Jack and 10 don't interact with that flush draw, which gives our opponent a little more likely chance of having it. But I think with that specific rainbow board, we just want to get out of the way there and conserve our chips. It's also really damaging to double up the short stack like that. And now we are in a lot more competition here for the pay jumps.
So here we are. Karen gets to open it up under the gun with pocket 9s. And Reza defends again with queen 4 of hearts from the big blind, and he lands it.
9s is Karen's hand tonight. I think this might be her third time having it. But Reza's hitting flops. Yeah, and on the queen 3-5, Karen is still going to be good here a lot of the time. So I do like her call.
800 is there.
Looks like we're having some graphics errors here.
So now Reza will lead out here on the river. I think he bet 800,000.
Yeah, so he's value betting his queen here, and Karen has the effective second pair. You know, against Reza specifically, who's been more aggressive than everyone else, I don't mind. Oh, she rivered a set. We
That
didn't even see
changes
that.
things.
So this is going to be a pretty clear raise now from Karen. Just trying to figure out what sizing to go for.
So yeah, pardon our graphics here. We see the 9 of spades on the river, so Karen has rivered a set.
Yeah, I think
against
she's a
Reza's
little
2-pair.
she's a little too deep here to jam, but she can still put in a hefty raise.
So the hefty raise has come out, and Reza now in the tank a bit, having that feeling like something might have happened here. So it's 1.2 million to call.
And he's considering a re-raise, which would be an all-in. Pretty close here with the missed diamonds. Hard to get called
There we go.
by worse. I prefer just a call here with the queen 4, and he's going to see the bad news. Really nice raise there by Karen.
That's what
A lot of players would be afraid and just call there. But she is playing very well tonight, earning herself some chips. Love to see the ladies do well at the final tables here. You know, we're always want more diversity here in the game and more female players. So if you want to come down, we're very friendly and welcoming. Come check out the poker scene.
Yeah, more and more ladies are definitely splashing around here at Texas Card House Dallas, Texas Card House Las Colinas.
Not only that, they're winning. They're doing really well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really strong female players that are taking the game very seriously, and just you know, people that play for fun that still are doing very well. So come on down, try your luck.
Vandy under the gun here with queens. Raises it up, takes down blinds and annies. Some trashy holdings behind him, so no customers.
I thought maybe you have like a big queen, but the thought went through my head.
We can
maybe
hear
it
Reza
was
there
six, but nice hand.
referring to that last hand.
It was reasonable.
And now that Joe's doubled up, the stacks are a lot more condensed, which is going to cause the small stacks to even play tighter. How much you're covered by compared to the other stacks matters a lot in terms of how you need to adjust your strategy. And so it definitely kind of mucked things up a little bit now that they're all closer together. But the blinds are going up. So, you know, with a 300K big blind, nobody is still safe. So the small stack still has about 16, 17 bigs, which is plenty to maneuver with.
So Joe's going to land top 2 here from the cutoff.
And now he's trying to make even more. So I think sevens.
Reza's going to stick around.
Yeah, I wouldn't call. You know, you don't even have a spade. You just don't have many good runouts here, and you are multi-way. You still have the big blind to act behind you. So there's just not many good things that can happen here on future streets in Reza's position. So I would just choose to get out of the way there. It'd be a little different if you were heads up, but I think multi-way you just have to play a little more honest and straightforward. But is able to get to a river.
Kind of a rough turn here for Joe's top 2 flop, but he's able to bet this river here.
Yeah, the king is definitely not one of the better cards on the turn, but with the action as played, I do like his value bet here. He is going to likely be good most of the time here, and I do think Reza just needs to get out of the way here. Unless he wants to get spicy and raise. This is definitely not a call spot, though. I love spiciness.
He's reaching like he's ready
I
to
don't
get
think
spicy.
so. This feels like a fake spiciness to me. I'd love to be proven wrong, though. I think now that he's doing the facial expressions.
Now there's been a lot of posturing here.
Yeah, you want to be really careful about that when you're still going to act. And yeah, it's just rarely going to be good here. I guess, you know, you can put your opponent on spades, but, you know, like the king queen gets there. I guess like specifically 8-9, maybe like ace 5 of spades
Possibly
or something
still
like that.
a little bit frustrated from that hand where he had to pay off the set just a moment ago.
Yeah, but with the chip lead, you generally want to be the one putting in the aggression instead of calling, especially because your opponents actually have to play tighter because of that multiplier effect when they're playing against you. And so they just have to play, in general, a lot more honest of a game. And so when you're making hero calls there, really, really down low in your range, they're just very rarely going to be good.
So still the action continuing here. Now Reza has pocket kings in the cutoff.
Let's see if he can get some of that back here with premium.
9, Jack, 4. VD has pocket 3s in the big blind.
And VD's the type of player who might think Reza's getting a little out of line or on tilt here and be
And a
willing to come
3
back.
on the
Oh,
turn. A naughty
that
card.
is going to be a graveyard for him here. I expect to see a raise here. This is a good spot for a check raise. You want to take the lead back and make sure all the money gets in here by the river when you're out of position. I think if you're in position here, you would just call, but I'd like to see a small check raise or up to an all-in check raise.
So Reza.
So it does look like he raised. We are having a bit of a graphics error right now. Oh, no, he's still tanking. All right, there's the raise.
Our graphics putting on a little bit of a show here for us, but
yeah, it looks like a raise to 3 million. I actually think that's an interesting
VD
size.
has turned a set against the Kings of Reza. That's the important part we need to know here.
Yeah.
All in.
All right, it looks like we've got an all-in.
All in and a call.
The graphics are behind, but VD is going to eliminate Reza here. And really, really unlucky there to run into it with his Kings now that he's got a premium. But yeah, he played really well, really aggressively to give himself a chance to win this tournament.
Great run for Reza. Great to see him make this final table. Hang out with us tonight here on TCH Live. He will finish in 5th place. Is that what we're down to? $14,300 prize for Reza.
Still quite the cash here.
Awesome to see him make that run.
Yeah, and with that pot, VD is going to take a commanding chip lead, and I really expect him to turn up the heat now four-handed and be a very strong favorite to win this tournament. And he was my pre-tournament pick here to win this. Very strong player.
So yeah, we're down to Karen in the 1 seat, Vandy in the 2 seat, VD in the 3 seat, and Joe hanging out over there in the 8 seat all by himself. So 4 outstanding players, 3 of which we've seen on this particular stream in this particular final table. So let's battle it out.
Absolutely, and I know Vandy and VD I've seen a lot. They I know that they're tough, but it's been really fun to watch Karen compete with them as well. And Joe, playing very aggressively, really doing a good job value betting their hands and maneuvering when they are missing. So playing for quite a bit of money here.
Ace, King, Jack, 2 clubs, big old flop. Michael Page in the chat, I see you up there. We've just had some poker action. He said, let me hear you say go Mavs one time. Shout out to the Mavs for making it to the NBA Finals. Western Conference champions right here, our local team in Dallas. We are absolutely proud of those guys, but we will be rooting them on starting next week when they take on the Boston Celtics for sure. So in appreciation of Michael Page, go Mavs.
Absolutely. Yeah, Luke, sorry about the graphics error. Occasionally it will happen, but we'll get that fixed up for you. And the stacks are actually pretty deep here. I believe it's actually is it 250 or 300? I thought it was 300 before. So yeah, 250K. The short stack has over 30 bigs, which is a ton for a short stack. So really anything can happen. And it will make VD's aggression a little less effective, so he does need to be a little more straightforward, but he can still maneuver in aggression in and out.
Yeah, I believe the first game 1 is Thursday, so we've definitely made it to finals week finally. Taking those guys forever to get them started, but it'll be here before we know it.
Move around a little bit.
450 is the bet.
I mean, we got to use our same spots, but
Yeah, now that we're four-handed, the ranges in general are going to get a lot wider, so players can start fighting back against one another a little bit more now as well.
So they're going to be short-handed, and they have a lot of blinds to play with.
Yeah, just wider formations in general and a lot of maneuverability. So we'll see if anyone tries to make some moves here and climb up the standings.
So we're four-handed here.
Always nice to look down at Ace King.
Always
I love
nice. He's got a button and Ace King. He'll raise it up to 550,000. So Vandy here able to hang around. Jack 9 of spades, and he binks the jack on the turn. Turn goes check, check. Jack 9 will have the best of it. He'll lead out the river here. Always such a deflating feeling when your Ace King just whiffs. And you're faced with this scenario on the river.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough texture of missed draws here where we can profitably call. I think if you do want to continue, it's going to have to be through a raise. But I do prefer just folding here. You know, your opponent's just going to have a lot of strong paired hands, maybe some two-pair as well. So good discipline there. I know it's tough to lay down big hands short-handed, but sometimes you just need to follow the action and live to fight another day. Right back at it here.
Right back at it. Ace 9 under the gun now. In
Very
the cutoff.
strong hand four-handed. And takes it down. Never a bad result to take down the blinds pre-flop at a final table. The blinds are worth so much here. And if you guys like the analysis and the commentary, please hit that like button while you're here. Really appreciate it. Tell your friends.
Tell your friends. Check in with RJ and Danny. We're hanging out. TCH Live, Texas Card House, Dallas. 355 viewers still.
Don't forget Bluey the puppy.
And Bluey.
Causing some trouble back there.
She's hanging out.
What's up?
So the classic battle of 5-6 suited versus 7-8 suited, and we get a King 10-3 flop, no suits.
A couple suited connectors. Suited connectors generally, on average, go down to the final table just for the fact that the average stacks are usually a little shorter, and so they lose out on some of their value. But currently, the average stack is actually pretty deep, and VD especially is going to be playing those types of hands.
Vandy here with Jack 9 suited. He's in the cutoff. So this is the scenario where you will see the cutoff really start to apply some pressure.
Yeah, and back to that earlier question about how ranges change shorthanded. Remember, under the gun is effectively the cutoff. So you're not raising an under the gun range. You're raising a cutoff range, which is going to be a lot of hands, including Jack 9 suited. So pretty standard there. Thank you, Dory. Glad you're enjoying it.
Fold.
Joe with a bunch of hands back to back. Another great button open.
Suited King 8 on the button.
Fold.
Absolutely. These suited King X hands start to go way up in value, both short-handed and the shorter your stack gets. You want to. It's more important to have blocker hands to your opponent's strongest holding. So you want to have more Ace X, more King X type hands
Vandy gets
as
to
you start to
defend
get
here
short.
with an Ace 10. Pretty good hand.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind 3-betting a hand like that against a button open, but a flat is fine as well.
It's high.
Yeah, we talk about how you can open up your range pre-flop and opening and the frequency of which you open, but how much do you open up your range on your 3-bet?
Well, in general, we haven't really seen very many 3-bets from this table, and that's pretty common amongst the average poker player. I think one of the harder things for people who don't play as often or are not as studied is to get in enough 3-bets. And keep in mind, aggression is really where a lot of our profit comes from. It gives us multiple ways to win. We can win by our opponent's folding. We're also going to get more value when we do have strong hands. So if you can start putting in more 3-bets into your game, selectively, of course, you'll definitely notice your profit starts to go up.
So
And,
VD
yeah.
able to take this one down. So we might get into a bit of a lull here as players have
He's all by himself.
a lot of blinds right now. We're four-handed.
Yeah, I think there's a huge opportunity here for VD to start really getting out of line and 3-betting quite a bit, as everybody else is both condensed with each other, so they have to be very careful and ICM aware, and also they're playing very straightforward and more passive. So, like, for example, I wouldn't have minded a 3-bet there with the Queen-9 suited here from VD, but he's kind of biding his time, getting a feel for how everyone else is playing. But I would definitely consider starting to turn on the heat a little bit. If I
And
were
Karen
him.
opened here, which she's not been able to do much of just yet. So she's opened it up,
Yeah,
continues, and able to take it down.
Yeah, maybe he just thinks Karen has a bit of a tighter opening range. Maybe he would have raised if that was Vandy, which is fair.
Fold.
All right, Jofo with the classic Ace-5 suited here. You know, I was mentioning earlier why, you know, that Ace-10 suited, Ace-Jack suited, those are good flats because it keeps in a lot of your opponent's dominated range. Another way to think about it is if you start 3-betting with hands like that in position, your opponent's going to continue with all the stronger hands and fold all the, like, Ace-Queen, Ace-King, and they're going to fold all the hands you already beat, like Ace-9 through Ace-5. But Ace-5 makes a really good raising hand because now you are starting to get better hands to fold. You're actually going to get the Ace-10s to fold. You're going to get the Ace-9s to fold. So there's a lot of value to that high-low combination for 3-betting. I think Vandy had a very good combination to go for the check raise, or sorry, go for the raise on the flop. Now that he gets a little bit of showdown value, I prefer just calling and trying to realize.
Yeah, with that ace out there, I really feel like Vandy and VD both just are giving Karen the reputation of opening pretty tight.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
but
They're giving her a
she
lot of
feels that,
respect.
and she's able to open up a little bit here.
Yeah, they're giving her a lot of respect for sure. And she's earned it too, so she's playing very well.
$5.50 is the bet.
A lot of very strong hands here. Curious to see if Karen comes in for the 3-bet or just the call. Does decide to call here with the king-queen suited, which is going to work out nice against Jofo's specific hand here, as we've got her dominated, or him dominated.
Lands the queen to boot.
Karen's playing a little tricky here with the check back. Let's see if it gets her paid. I think now she needs to put in some value. Our opponents are going to pick up some backdoor draws as well.
Backdoor clubs, backdoor wheel draws.
Yeah, so really well played there by both players.
There's a good look at those player stacks.
Yeah, a lot of maneuvering here with that 30 big blind. Two short stacks, both at 30 bigs. And then Karen just hanging above there, just under 40, about 39. And then VD here is the massive chip leader, who's kind of letting these guys battle a little bit, feeling them out, waiting to make his moves. Gives Joe the walk. And yeah, I do expect play, like you mentioned, to slow down a little bit here. Not that the stacks are very deep. Although whenever you're four-handed, a clash can happen at any time. So anything's possible, but it might take another level or two here.
One more level. Let's
get the blinds up higher.
You're definitely seem to be in chill mode here. VD able to open it up here with 7-8 suited.
Yep, it's going to be a standard open here on the button.
Takes down blinds and antes. Worth a little bit for him.
Big line.
Oh, and now we got a premium here from VD with the aces.
Raise 500.
God, don't you just love looking down at aces? Oh, it's the greatest feeling ever. Karen's going to defend here with the fours in the small blind, and Vandy will complete in the big blind.
The only thing better than looking down at aces is
Oh
looking
my
down
gosh.
at aces on a four-handed
And-
final table.
And Karen hits another set, her third of the night. This could be very painful on this board here.
She's wasting no time. A little lead out here. Club on the turn.
Yeah, and I think the lead out's actually going to cost her a little bit of money here. David's going to be able, or VD's going to be able to play this well and pot controlled in position and lose the absolute minimum. So
Absolute minimum.
he is really playing above the board. He played that ace king, lost nothing on the king high flop earlier, multi-way, and only loses a couple bets here against the set here with his aces. Pretty lucky run out for him with the four-liner and the three flush. Probably could have just checked back the river, but try to get a little bit of value. Can't really blame him.
Yeah, rough run out there for Karen.
Yeah.
She would love to have been able to pick on the big stack there with that set, but
He probably thinks that
Yeah.
Karen's got like a big jack there or something like that and tries to squeeze out a little bit of value. So that's very understandable.
500 is a bet. Fold.
And Karen's spinning it up here. She's starting to catch up. She's far and away now in second place. There are certain boards, especially at the final table and situations, where you can lead into the pre-flop razor from the big blind. But generally, you're going to want to do it as the bigger stack, and you're going to want to do it on boards that are favorable to the big blind defense range. So for example, if the cutoff opens and a big stack defends, who has you covered, and the flop is 4, 5, 6, you can actually, you call that a donk lead. You're leading out into the pre-flop raiser, and that is profitable and correct play to do. But I think on the Jack 3-4, it's a little more dicey, where you're just going to want to check in flow and play your check raises. And yeah, we've Dory mentions we've got Johnny here in the box. He is one of the best dealers that you'll find anywhere. Keeps the action moving, very fast, very accurate, and also knows the rules. He's done floor, dealing, everything. So got one of the best dealers in the box now. On par for TCH Dallas. So far the play's been pretty straightforward, so we'll see if anyone wants to kind of try to lean on that a little bit.
Raise 550.
All right, Vandy finally has a premium here. I expect to see a 3-bet. And Joe does have options here with the suited king on the button, but with how Vandy's been playing, he has not really been 3-betting much. I'm probably just going to get out of the way, as he's been playing pretty straightforward. I would put him on a pretty strong hand here. Everyone in the chat, are there any concepts that you might be confused about at the final table, or any poker questions that you have? I'd love to talk about the game. I might not be right all the time, but it's fun to kind of talk through situations. So if anyone has any questions, poker or otherwise, feel free to type it in the chat, or just to say hi. And VD with another good 3-bet here. Continues to chip up. Yeah, and you can see when VD loses the minimum with hands like aces and then just kind of runs over everybody on other hands, it almost feels like destiny for him. He's doing pretty good, but Karen, Bandy, and Joe are definitely going to give him a bit of a fight, so we'll see what happens. Doesn't quite have half the chips in play, so anybody can win this one still. You can double down on your bet if you have 8-3. So you have 11, and you can double down, but you only get to hit one card. So you want to hit a 10 for blackjack. Great question. Appreciate you saying hi, JB3.
GW. First only, right?
GW out.
Blair, I really appreciate that. I'm doing my best. Commentary is very difficult, but it helps my own game when I kind of talk through these concepts. A lot of this, at an instinctive or subconscious level, but talking it out and verbalizing is a whole nother game. And so just trying to understand these concepts a little bit better and be able to share them with you all. Glad you guys are enjoying it, though.
Check. Let's see a winner. Deuces and trays.
I like how Pez says I'm a killer, but I don't think I've ever beaten you in a poker hand, Pez. So who's the real killer?
Pez is just buttering you up for that next pot, I think.
Raise.
I stacked you Jack versus Ace King when you were moving up in stakes. Oh man, sorry about that. I'm sure you'll get me back. So Atem, are you a local here in the Dallas area?
Raise 2.
Vidi lands top pair here. Vandy will float.
Yep, reverse domination here.
Big ace on the turn. Club run out. Vandy didn't want to mess with it.
Pez, there's no time to hate aces. Never.
Don't hate them. They are your friend.
Maybe if you love them a little bit more, they'd be
That's
nicer
right.
to you.
Caress them.
Check. 250.
Yeah, big hands truly under the gun are always difficult to play a little bit, but under the gun here, four-handed, as you mentioned, that's the cutoff, so you get to fire it up.
Tom, I remember that black clover hat. I do run really well, so that's something I've always had going for me. So sorry that you had to be a victim.
And the
Yeah, people, position, and math. I'd add psychology as well, and logic. Those are good, 3 good things to have.
People, position, and math. Game of action and reaction. We are still battling it out here at the bigger one. We are 2 hours and 22 minutes into this bad boy. 368 viewers were four-handed. $56,000 up top tonight.
A lot of money they're playing for. Big stakes. Yeah, and JB3 mentions that he does talk to himself before he plays, and that's actually really good. My girlfriend actually is really strong on the affirmations before she goes and plays. And, you know, just having that positive energy, that positive mindset, especially since it's such a mentally taxing game, is so important in the long run, and being able to handle those, you know, tough downs. So I really like that. You know, be kind to yourself, forgive yourself for mistakes.
Karen R.
Raise.
Jacks in the big blind. Raises it up. No action here. And I believe in that, obviously, as well. I mentioned earlier that when I deal these tournaments, I like to just tell people, good luck, see you at the final table. Just for that reason, you know, just to put a little affirmation out there for those players and good vibes, you know, because, man, the psychology of being in a tournament is wicked awesome.
Absolutely. And yeah, David, aka VD, was also my pick before this final table. Very tough player. I have a lot of experience against him, and is going to probably be the least afraid to put pressure on, considering the stakes that everybody's playing for. It's easy to get a little passive when you're playing for, you know, $56,000, but you know, you really got to go after it and just try to make the best plays you can without worrying about the money.
All right, such a unique balance here. Four-handed with a lot of blinds. It's going to be, like you said, easy to be passive, but this is really where you can make some money as well.
Well, JB3, I hope I run into you too. If you guys want to watch, I will be playing tomorrow night, Tuesday night, here at TCH Dallas on stream. We're going to be playing a high-stakes cash game. Usually it's 5, 10, 25 with a $50 ante. So come check that out tomorrow.
I am so glad you mentioned that. Yeah, the lineup tomorrow night is going to be awesome. Yourself and JD, Poker Mama, and myself, RJ Dupree, and Eric Van Loozen will be on the call for that. So we will get to watch you guys battle it out tomorrow night in the probably 5, 10, 25 streets, right?
Absolutely. Poker Mama wants some revenge on me after I knocked her out on day 3 of the WPT Choctaw event.
That's
so
right.
It's going to be fun to battle with her. She's a very tough player. Looking forward to that. My puppy is doing amazing. Thank you for asking.
That's right. She handled that very well. She let you off the hook nicely for that.
She was a tremendous supporter of mine at the final table. You know, love Casey. She's absolutely amazing. Really strong player too. And Bluey is actually turning 1 year old next week. So she is 1 week shy of 1 year. And she is an amazing puppy, although she did just fart here in our booth. So
How rude, Bluey.
So we're dealing with that right now. It's a little stinky in here, but she's cute enough.
Happy birthday nonetheless.
Exactly. She's cute enough where we're going to forgive her for the stinky farts.
500.
All right, we've got suited Holdens everywhere.
Pulse 5.
Biddy on the button with King 5 suited. Joe Foe defending from small blind, 8-9 of hearts.
I will do that 2 card. Casey is in Vegas right now. She's going to be flying back tomorrow morning to come take all of our money. So
Middle pair here for Joe. Flush draw for Vidi.
yeah, curious to see how Vidi
Oh,
plays
a 9
it.
of
Oh,
diamonds on
this
the
could
turn.
get big depending on the run out.
Check, check.
I think you just got to keep barreling here as Joe.
1 million.
And,
Joe's going to lead out here on the river for
this
a
is another good example where this is not the type of king high call you'd want to have. If you have king high, you'd rather do it with diamonds or clubs. If you're trying to hero call, because you want your opponent to have the missed spades.
Take my mark.
Yep.
So that's another good example of your card distribution for choosing how you want to proceed with your hand. One of my final table mates, he's huge chip stack deep in the bounty. He pulled 100K, he pulled a 25K. And
Hello.
he's got like 20 million chips, so it's $1 million for first. Very tough player, Adam Hendricks. So wishing him good luck. Anyone else still playing the World Series of Poker, good luck out there.
There you go. Big couple of weeks already for Adam Hendricks in
Yeah.
just the early stages of this year's World Series of
Poker
Poker.
Summer Camp. There's definitely something about the World Series every year that gets me really excited. And you notice even in these local areas, you know, people that haven't played in a little while, they start to come out because they get all excited. You get the FOMO. And Dallas is one of the great locations for people to come play when they're trying to get some cards in.
Could see some club-on-club violence here. 5-6 of clubs, king deuce of clubs. Vidi lands middle pair and the lesser club draw.
Very interesting here. The fact that he's got the pair to go with it can allow him to maybe play this a little more aggressively,
Raised.
but you can't really go wrong with this. And yeah, Dusty pulled another local, pulled a 25K. Super happy for her. Another crusher. And curious to see, these are the 2 big stacks, remember. So Karen in position here, I would expect to just call. You do have options to consider bluffs on later streets, but I think there's a higher risk premium for these players against each other, so they need to be a little more cautious when it comes to putting in a ton of money. So I do expect her to continue through a call here.
So yeah, those green chips there are 500,000 each. So that check raises a little over $1 million.
Yeah, and if David hits the club here, he could be in really big trouble. And I do like the call here, and let's see a turn card.
8 of diamonds.
This is another good card for VD to barrel here, or check, honestly. Again, you can't really do much wrong, but he's got that middle part of the board locked down, and it is stronger for his range. Lucky for him, he does miss.
9 of diamonds.
Check. See, I want
And it goes check, check. No one wants to get too spicy, so the 6 will take it down for Vidi.
Yeah, I think that would have been a decent choice for a turn barrel, just as the big blind defense with those middling cards. And you've got a lot of opportunities for various river runouts to be able to put more money in the pot. But again, with that strong of a hand with so much equity, I don't mind the check either. Yeah, I guess there were 2 $1 million pulls. Gosh.
$1 million bounty prize. That's
yeah,
crazy.
Two of them. Amazing.
Aye.
Yeah.
Vandy on the button with a suited ace deuce in this one.
50s of that.
Yeah, starting to get a little short. The blinds are up again, so he's about 15 bigs to start the hand. Probably could have just considered maybe a little too deep to jam, actually. I do like the open. Although with the deuce specifically, maybe you just want to try to get the hand over with and get it all in, because it doesn't play quite as well, but nonetheless, it is an ace short-handed.
300 is of that.
Biddy going to lead out here. Picks up a flush draw on the turn.
Yeah, trying to set his own price by making it small. Vandy does not fall for it and is going to charge him a little bit. I do really like these small stabs by VD here.
Ooh, interesting card.
Probably going to go
clubs.
check here.
Checking all in.
Oh. Yeah, I'm not sure you're going to get called by worse here on the river from Vandy. And you already have such a strong showdown hand that I think you just need to check back there. When David bets and then calls a raise in the turn, he is going to complete a lot of those draws. He is going to have stronger ace X's.
It could have actually turned a pair.
Yeah, and he's just going to fold everything that you beat. So I don't think there's much value there in jamming. You're just kind of value owning yourself.
Yeah, you were talking earlier about the energy of the WSOP and the incredible energy that you got to experience last week at the WPT final table. I got to go out there one time, and I played in just the casino employees event, which is usually the first event. And, man, it was the energy they brought to that event that particular year was amazing. It was
Absolutely.
awesome. They shot off of money guns across the entire tournament that totaled $10,000 in $1 bills, right?
Oh my
they shoot
gosh.
these money guns.
So there was a battle royale for it.
Yes, you battle royale. They say welcome to the World Series of
Punch each
Poker.
other in the face
And
with
everybody
some
runs around
dollars.
picking up dollar bills.
Oh my gosh. That sounds a little dangerous, but pretty cool nonetheless. I love it.
Not me. I was the idiot that took pictures, by the way. And then I was like, why am I not grabbing some of this money? And so I did eventually find about 40 bucks and was able to take pictures and buy a beer or something with my $40. So that was cool.
It's funny, you know, the energy at the World Series, it's always so high early on in the series. And then later on, as people get more and more bitter, more broke as they brick everything. And then after the main event, like the last week, the energy is just dead in there. And you can just like hear a coin drop.
Deflated.
It's like
Everybody's war smooth out.
Yeah, it's pretty funny how that happens, but pretty normal as well. 2-card, I do have an X handle. I usually don't post much on X. I mostly just kind of browse around. I post on Instagram under MARX.Danny. I don't even know what my X handle is. I think it's Danny M Poker. If you want to give me a follow. Yep, Danny M Poker. Remember to follow RJ2 while you're at it.
Yeah, The Dupe Show on Instagram. Kind of like a poop show, but different. It's The Dupe Show, DOOP. And, yeah, we all the time putting out some fun poker stuff on Instagram, especially when TCH Live is popping like it is tonight. We like to share some of that stuff. So, yeah, Danny and I appreciate the clicks. Feel free to share the love.
Raise.
Raise 650.
So hand 116 of this final table. Blinds are up to 150, 300,000. So they're starting to move around just a little bit here as these stacks are still pretty deep.
Yeah, you got to be really careful with these really tiny raises from the small blind into the big blind. Usually you want to size up a little bit, but he also only started the hand with 15 big blinds. So I think ace-9 is either a good hand to go all in with right away, or to limp and try to induce your opponent to raise, and then you can check, you can limp raise all in. So I think you're going to put yourself in some tough spots here by just making it 2.2x here out of position, when VD's going to be able to continue with everything. Has you covered in position. It's going to put you in a lot of tough spots.
VD has 2 pair here, so it might be enough to look him up.
And a good example, he could have just went all in pre-flop, won the blinds.
Yep, tried to play it milky there, and a lot of times milky works, but this time to no avail. And that'll knock him down to well below 3 million. I'm not sure how many big blinds.
It's about 10 big blinds. Well, 3 million would be 10. JB3, thanks for joining us. Have a great day at work tomorrow. Remember to join us tomorrow night, same time, for our cash stream.
That's right. Danny's going to be bringing it tomorrow night.
And Vidi up over 20 million now. He's got it. That's got to be over half the chips in play.
Folds. Raise to 6. Fold. Call.
Ace 9-4, 2 spades. Karen lands the ace. Lets the button continue. And just calls.
I really like VD sizings. Most people are going to be c-betting way too large at final tables, but because of the multiplier effect on the big stack and the extra pressure you're giving, you really can put on just as much pressure through small bets, threatening people's stack sizes, especially on early streets. So VD's really putting on a clinic here on how to run over a final table. And then that way you can just, when they do fight back against you, they're going to be pretty up in their range, and you can just kind of choose when to give up and when to barrel out.
Yeah, sometimes aggression can be defined in different measurements, but this time it's more of just frequency as opposed to just massive raising, right?
And size.
Four-handed here at Texas Card House Dallas, the even bigger one, $56,000 up top for this $300 buy-in. That is Joe over there on the right, hanging out by himself. Karen in the 1 seat, Vandy in the 2, and Vidi there in the 4.
All 4 of these players are guaranteed quite a bit of money here.
11,000 locked up here, 56,000 up top. Karen letting go of Jack 10 under the gun / cutoff. With correct timing. Small blind has Queen Jack. Ooh. King, Queen, 4 on the flop. We'll never know about that Jack 10.
Yeah, with how passive everybody's playing, if I were VD at this point, I would really start considering playing almost every hand and really leaning on them until they fight back. I think the times that you pick up dead blinds and money is going to more than make up for the times that they do fight back. And then you never know. You might also just make a hand. So
with a high frequency of small raises.
So about 10.6 bigs here for Vandy. It's actually closer than it appears for VD. I think this is actually a fold here with the Queen Jack. But it's hard to blame him for the call either. But it just doesn't have really great calling properties at this depth, as our opponent is going to jam a lot of dominating hands into us.
Yeah, Queen Jack, 2 letters, always so tempting for that 10x.
Yeah, they're just going to have so many King Queen, King Jack, Ace Jack, Ace Queen. They're not going to really have much Queen 10, Jack 10.
But Vidi running hot, he lands the Queen and will eliminate Vandy.
Yeah, but who needs that when you just keep getting there? So nice hand, David. It seems to be your destiny at this point. Really well played there by Vandy.
Indeed. Another great showing from Vandy, Texas Card House favorite. He finishes today in 5th place.
4th place.
1, 2, 3. Pardon me, we're down to 4. He finished in 4th place. Outstanding prize, $18,900 for this. Just a $300 buy-in. These 3 players remain. They will be battling it out for these prizes. $26,000, $38,000, $56K up top.
Huge payouts.
Vandy, he's a favorite here at these final tables on these tournaments.
And David might be our very first repeat bigger one champion. I think he won the very first one for 50,000.
400 is back.
So that's quite the impressive feat, beating out over 1,000 players twice here. You know, I don't want to speak too soon though. He hasn't won it yet, and I'm pretty sure he may have even made a final table on top of that. So very impressive tournament player, fearless, and you can see that in some of the moves that he's made.
So a fun little hand here is Jofo has flopped a flush, and Karen holding the ace of spades.
Interesting.
Raised to 2 million.
Let's see if Karen decides to try and turn her hand into a bluff here. I think it's a little risky shorthanded. You can't really even, I don't know if you can even call to get your equity. Oh, she does have the wheel draw as well. I think a call here is going to make the most sense. Could even consider potentially just folding. But kind of a cooler here, shorthanded. Can't blame her if she doesn't decide to get aggressive with it either.
Mark Donovan in the chat. GG for Mark, our very own. Mark to Mark. Love to see you guys in the chat rooting on our favorite players. Karen does make the call here.
Gonna need some help. And she gets, oh,
Finds it.
straight
9 of
flush.
spades.
No, she does not. She's gonna, Jofo is gonna double up here. He's got a straight flush. Versus the ace high flush. She's gonna think she's good.
6, 7 of spades.
What
the
a
bottom
cooler.
end of that straight flush. 8, 9, 10 on the board.
Wow, making a straight flush at a final table. That's what life is about
Against
right
the ace. A naughty river here. The 9 of spades.
there. Yeah, and Karen is gonna love this until she sees the hands.
All in.
Joe is all in.
She didn't snap. She knows.
She knows.
Straight flush.
Didn't snap. Shook her head. Makes the call. Finds the bad news. Straight flush for Jofo.
Yeah, she something was telling her she might not be good there. That was really unlucky here, shorthanded, to lose in this spot.
That's always a fun feeling. You look down at your hand and you're like, why did I just get raised?
And she is going to be down to, what's raising you there, right? She's going to be down to 12 big blinds, so now she is in the danger zone. And Joe has been playing a very solid short stack game. He's been, staying alive towards the bottom of the chip counts this whole final table. And just goes to show you that if you play tight and solid, it's never over.
Joe, a very stoic player in the room. A man of very few emotions, and even he finds a little fun in that straight flush.
Yeah, you got to crack a smile for the straight flush. Yeah. Atem, I kind of had, I've been playing poker since I was, for probably about 20 years now. So I have done all the different variations of learning through training sites, books, online forums, coaches. So I've kind of done it all over the years, but mostly just kind of work with myself now and talk poker with some friends and kind of study on my own. But, coaching is definitely very high value for a lot of players that are looking to improve their game. Another very kind of cooler flop here. Both players with very strong hand holdings. Yeah. They're going to play a little more passive against each other, especially now that the short stack has only 12 big blinds. So they're really trying to wait her out. And I think VD can put on a lot of pressure on both of them until she gets all in here. Wow. Ace high flush for straight flush at the final 3. Amazing. She's been playing so great too. Really feel for her.
Call 3. Option checks.
So at this point, she's going to want to start looking for some spots to get all in here. Again, you're not going to want to be flatting off of this stack size. So you really want to, whenever you voluntarily put money in the pot in her shoes at this point, she's going to want to do it through aggression. Give herself some fold equity while she still has some.
Yeah, and when you say that, fold equity while you still have some, when is it too late? How small is your stack before you lose much of your fold equity?
Well, I wouldn't say too late is the right way to say it, but it's basically like one of the things with ICM is that you can actually start folding even when you might have pot odds. So you have a little bit extra fold equity in certain situations. But in her case, I think with the other stacks being so healthy, once she starts to get under 8 bigs, they're going to start calling pretty wide. And then once she gets under 5 bigs, they'll probably start calling any 2 from the big blind when they already have 2 big blinds in.
So sitting at 2.9 now for Karen. She's fallen just under tens. And back in the big blind just like that.
Yeah, so she's going to have to find a spot to get it in here in the next, 3 to 6 hands, in my opinion. You don't want to go down too low where a double up isn't really going to help you much. But at this point, she is going to have to find a spot here to gamble with.
So here's Vidi able
this
to...
is probably it. I do like the all-in here. Again, she runs into it. Bit of a cooler here. It just kind of seems like it's Vidi's night.
Vidi able to apply some pressure here with ace-10. Karen in jeopardy here. She has ace-8 suited in hearts.
Needs some hearts, and there are some hearts out there.
2 hearts.
She's alive.
Needing a heart or an 8.
Or a 5 for the
Pardon
chop.
me, not an 8, because Vidi's landed a pair.
Oh, and just the tease there with the hearts. Really well played there by Karen, though, finishing in 3rd place.
3rd place finish for Karen. What a run. An awesome run for Miss Karen R. She will be eliminated here in 3rd place. Look at that prize, $26,500 from a $300 buy-in.
Big money.
All right, so heads up. We go Joe Fo versus Vidi. 38,000 locked up, battling it out for 56,100 up top.
Absolutely amazing. These players are guaranteed 37,000. An amazing payday for a $300 tournament. That's over 100 buy-ins for 2nd place. So really, really great tournament. And both of these guys are pretty deep. So this heads-up battle could take a little bit of time. Another just kind of thought for tournament poker, most people are not very experienced in heads-up play, but heads-up is actually where most of the money is played for. So you actually want to put in quite a bit of work if you're going to find yourself at final tables in the heads-up portion of the game, because this is really where the money is won. And in the long run, you need to be winning more than your fair share of these heads-up battles. Another fun thing about heads up specifically in tournaments is ever since the change to big blind ante, there's a lot more dead money in the pot versus when people just anteed, because instead of only being 1/10 of the pot of an ante for each player, now there's a full big blind in there. And so because of all that extra dead money, you actually have to play a very high percentage of your hands. And so the button, a lot of people will VPIP 100% or close to it from the button first in, where they can develop a limping or a raising strategy. So there's a lot of fun options, and it allows you to play very wide and aggressive.
That's a great fun point, especially for an old schooler like myself that hasn't got to play in some of these bigger events since Big Blind Ante has really become a thing. And yeah, that's a pretty cool thing. Even three-handed, right? Even three-handed. That big blind
Short-handed in
hand is
general, it
huge.
definitely changes the game. You know, you have to play a little bit looser. It does benefit the big stack a little bit more compared to before when you are 3, 4, 5-handed, because there's more dead money out there that they're going to be able to go after. I'm actually a proponent of, I think they should switch it once you get short-handed to small blind ante. Well, the big blind will still put out the ante, but they should be putting out a small blind
just to kind of relieve some of that
so
pressure.
it's more like that, like the old school way. But I do think it's a little too much of an advantage right now for the bigger stacks, and puts a little bit more ICM pressure, and it actually causes play to be a little more passive and tight, and that's never fun. So I think you're just going to make it a better game if you change the ante structure once you start to get short.
But hey, it's been a hot minute since we've had a heads-up battle on the even bigger one, so we're looking forward to it tonight as these two players electing to battle it out heads up for that top prize, Vidi and Joe Fo.
Absolutely.
Checks. $1 million.
Ace Jack here for Joe Fo on the button. He's landed the best of it, but Vidi has a pair. He will let it go here on the turn. Picks up a pot with a little bit of meat in it. There was 3.4 million in that one. All right, still 355 viewers watching this heads-up battle to finish the final table here at Texas Card House Dallas. The even bigger one, the monthly tournament. 250,000 guarantee. Of course, we crushed that. A little over 330,000 in this prize pool. We are down to 2 players. 9-4 now for Joe Fo. He has 2 pair.
800.
These two players play very well quite frequently. No surprise to me, knowing the room here a little bit, to see these two guys here battling it out for the final spot. All right, 355 viewers. Feel free, let us know who you're rooting for in the chat. Both of these players playing awesome. Both of these players local room favorites, so I'm sure some people are starting to check in here.
Raise 600.
Ace, King, Jack. Big old flop here. Joe Fo lands the best of it with the Ace 10. He's the one out of position. He'll check. So Vidi, this is what Danny was mentioning earlier. Vidi in a position here to where he can bet quite frequently with a little bit of a chip lead. Heads up here. And you don't necessarily have to bet large amounts, but you do want to bet quite frequently to keep your opponent from picking up chips for free, basically. The frequency of those small bets really put the pressure on your opponent.
Option.
You're the only dealer for this?
300.
So here we are with, you'll see some situations like this where the holdings, heads up, of course, will miss for both players. So then it puts you in a position to where You actually get to play it out, have some playability, and see who can pick up some of these pots.
7.
VD checks his straight. He's made a straight here on the river. He checks it. And we'll check raise the river and take that down. You can see both players very happy with their position, starting to cut it up a little bit with each other and smile a bit. So they're two-handed. Juicy prize pool, big payouts up top, so they're having a good time here. And I think possibly they are flirting with the idea of talking about a deal. Cards go out. Play continues.
You got a little bit more, so I can't actually. I just want the big old trophy. I want that too.
Hand 139. 139 hands of this final table, taking us from 9 players to heads up.
Check.
Yeah, not a bad proposition, Mr. Lego.
Check.
If you're eliminated by one of the guys who made it to heads up.
6. Calls.
At least that makes you feel bad, a little better about your elimination. The guy that got you, making the most of it.
And if you want to do a deal where you can even it out a little bit and play for some.
And this will be the second time they flirted with the idea of discussing
What do you think about it? You keep
a deal.
I'm in. What do you think? How much do you want to play for?
Cards will still go out here while they're talking about that.
I don't really know about that.
VD picked up a hand here, so we'll look at that promo in just a bit. VD with pocket 10s on the button, he'll make a raise. Jofo defends with Jack 10. 8-6-4, all hearts.
Check.
VD holding the only heart. He's able to continue and takes it down. So both these guys checking out the board, flirting with the idea of some sort of deal. The deeper stack coming in Saturday is right here at Texas Card House, Dallas. That's a $175 buy-in with a $15,000 guarantee starting at 4 o'clock. This is a weekly tournament every Saturday, except for the week, of course, when we have the bigger one. And you will find this bankroll builder, 4 p.m., Texas Card House, Dallas, on Saturdays.
650.
Jofo finding pocket kings here. Able to take it down. Danny stepped out for a moment. He's coming back in here. So they have flirted with the idea of a deal. They've brought it up a couple of times, but cards are still in the air.
It's never a bad idea. And so whenever you're playing heads up for a ton of money, which is the case usually at the end of the tournament, even if you have an edge over your opponent, their variance is going to be so high with the stack sizes being so low. And so, you know, unless you can really afford to play the stakes or you're trying to get some practice at heads up, never be afraid to take a deal heads up and lock up a guaranteed payday.
300 is better.
Yeah, with a prize pool like this, the amount of money you can lock up is significant for a $300 buy-in especially.
Absolutely. And so, yeah. So, I mean, these guys are playing a $19,000 heads-up match, and that's just absolutely ridiculous for most people. And so if you can kind of reduce the variance a little bit and say, okay, let's maybe play for 5 or 6 or make a deal based on what our chips are. Very common practice here. That way both players can get a guaranteed really great take-home pay without having to risk too much in heads up.
Mr. Lego in the chat mentioning that Joe Foe eliminated him in 58th place.
If you didn't lose that hand, maybe you'd be here, Lego. You gotta.
I see your chips. They're right there.
Yeah, I see them also. They're in the middle. Yeah, with how deep they are, this heads-up match could take quite a bit of time. And so the other common factor is tournaments are exhausting. This is day 3 of a tournament, and the decisions are always unique and changing, and they're playing for such big money that they're going to be mentally exhausted. And you don't want to be playing for $19,000 when you're mentally exhausted. So we'll see if they get a feel for each other, but if one of them doesn't necessarily think they can get an edge, they might just end up chopping.
Yeah, it's always fun. This the even bigger one. You forget that these guys have been battling it out for 3 days trying to get through 1,400 entries. It's fun to just jump in here on YouTube or Twitch or Facebook or wherever we're chiming in from and see the energy. But yes, these players come in at an exhausted level and have to battle it out.
Yeah, and especially the end of these tournaments, they are, every decision is so important. It's not like a cash game where,
and of course, the payouts, 38,200 locked up, 56,100 up top. So if you do the math,
so I guess
there,
it's 18,000.
You're looking at about
18,900.
About 94,000 total, difference of 18,000 in prizes. So yeah, there's a little bit there to discuss.
It's a little bit more than even. Was there 94?
As we hear them talk, you can hear VD say a little bit more.
Yeah, so Joe's trying to get an even chop here, but with David having a decent chip advantage, usually the way to do it is calculate the ICM value of your chip stack and do it that way. Some people also choose to take out part of the prize pool to play for.
Whatever you want. I'd rather play than ICM. But if you want the trophy,
I don't want to look at it yet until I hear him talk. So the mention of the trophy, mention of money.
I want the trophy.
So these two guys, obviously from the same card room here, frequent flyers. They know each other very well.
Yeah, and the difference here between a chop and the second place prize is so big, 8 to 10,000, where they're both trying to be reasonable here and not stay here all night grinding and battling.
So there we go. Jofo putting chips in the pot like he's going to play this one out. Yeah, you can see, what would we say, about 94,000 in there altogether.
300.
4, 5, 6 on the flop. VD lands a little bit of it. He's open-ended with middle pair.
Yeah, this is a good flop, like I was mentioning earlier, where you can donk out as the big blind. And he actually does that, so really good play. Recognizes he has range advantage on that flop. Really love the way that VD's been playing this final table.
And don't forget, Mr. Danny Marks tomorrow in the cash games. Now, don't forget Texas Card House Live. Tuesday night cash games are awesome. They'll be coming at you tomorrow. And if you want to get in on some of these Tuesday night lineups, this is how you do it. Contact Mallory, the lovely Mallory. You can text her 405-403-7731 or hit her up, Texas Live DTX at texascardhouse.com. Or you can scan that barcode right there as well.
If you guys think my commentary is trash and you want to come battle with me in the
That's right. You want to jump
in?
Let's
go. I'm here. I'll be here tomorrow. Mallory is also coming back from Vegas. She actually also cashed the $1 million bounty tournament. So love to see that from her. She's starting to get into the tournament streets a little bit herself. Incredibly nice human being, and if you want to play, feel free to give her a call.
So as we come back to the final table here, it looks like the cards are fanned out, so they are definitely more serious in discussion about some sort of a chop. They're counting out their chips to see exactly where one another stands, and we can see there on the graphics, VD has over 24 million, Jofo just over 18 million. So definitely anybody's ball game at this point.
Yeah, so usually the process here is to figure out the chip distribution and then kind of calculate it against the prize pool. There are also ICM calculators that can do this for you. But usually it's going to be pretty close. So they should have very similar payouts, something like 49,000 to 46,000 or 48, 46, something like that.
Rockstar Tournament Director at Texas Card House Dallas, Mr. Donovan right there coming in to help the guys out.
Yeah, probably bringing in the ICM calculator. David is going over his options here.
So yeah, it looks like if you do the math there, about 47,000 would be half. So we'll see.
Yeah, David's trying to get a little bit extra and the trophy, which is very reasonable considering he's got a chip advantage.
I'm just looking for a little incentive, not to.
But,
It is fun to see both players happy, joyful, loving this position they're in.
I do love the negotiations though at the end. It's always fun to see players try to eke out a little bit extra.
Right.
And yeah, Joe's not going down without a fight, but I think he's going to have to give up something here.
Dude, that trophy's worth
You
more.
want me to bust him out?
That's playing with it.
Good job, guys.
All right, it looks like they did end up agreeing to a deal, so he was able to get a little bit extra.
Yeah, it looks like the chop is happening. We got the clap from the dealer. This thing will be completed. David will go home with the prize of 48,100. So a little bit more than Joe. Joe, second place, 46,200. So a difference there of almost $2,000. And David will get the trophy.
Yeah, congratulations to both of these guys. I'm so happy for David. Love seeing him do well here. Really has a lot of heart on the poker table. Really well played final table by both players.
There you go. And so
soap
that'll
Louis
do it
here.
for this.
And guys,
Even bigger winning right there. You can see we had a little bit of a chop. Those prize payouts came out just a little different. 48,000 for Dave, 46,000 for Joe. Don't forget the deeper stack changing a little bit here on Saturdays for 175, 4 p.m., $15,000 guarantee. That's going to be next week, next Saturday. Tomorrow night, join us, Danny Marks, in the cash game.
Are they still going to be running the normal $300 or $400 tournament on Saturdays earlier?
The 11 o'clock, I believe, yes,
Okay.
will still be going on. This
Awesome.
this is replacing
Second chance.
the second chance.
Got
Yes.
it. Very cool. And guys, don't forget to take a look at Bluey, the cutest puppy here ever.
Absolutely. Yes, we almost, how do we forget?
She's the reason to come back here.
We almost forgot the star of the show right there, Bluey. And
Look at this
this,
face.
Danny Marks, fresh back from Vegas. He'll be here tomorrow night splashing it up for the cash game, so be sure to check us out. I'm RJ Dupree. That's Bluey.